Mic check, mic check. Okay, perfect. Good evening. First and foremost, just to quickly introduce myself and give you a little background about myself. My name is Adrian Espinal. I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, where I migrated to the United States at the age of 6 in pursuit of better education, which now leads me to the University at Buffalo, where I'm currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in accounting, and I am running for the treasurer position of the Student Association under the Stand Up Business Party. As a person who is in pursuit of his bachelor's in accounting and track for his certified public accounting license, I've developed a strong foundation in financial management, budgeting, and data analysis. But what really sets me apart is how I've applied those real life skills in real world situations. Now, this past summer, I worked as a direct marketing intern and accountant intern at Valiant Management in Westbury, New York, next to New York City. I didn't really sit behind the desk my whole life. As well as an intern, I led a team of 5 representatives, which helping them improve their performance and drive results. More importantly, this position I was more responsible for auditing sales transactions to ensure accuracy, compliance, and proper reporting. When I found discrepancies, I took initiative to fix them and improve the process. That experience taught me how critical attention to detail and accountability are when managing money. Because of my performance, I was promoted to a leadership role within the firm, where I gained experience in recruiting, interviewing, and team development. As I stated previously, I did work with a team of 5 people who I led for higher sales productivity. I also had the opportunity to present strategies at national companies and at my company's national conferences, speaking in front of thousands of colleagues, which strengthened my ability to communicate clearly and confidently. In addition to my internship, I also currently work at the admissions office and financial aid office, where I handle sensitive student information and learn the importance of trust, accuracy, and transparency qualities that are essential for any treasurer. If elected, my goal is simple: to make sure every dollar of student funds is managed responsibly and in ways that truly benefit every single student in this room. I will focus on 3 points: transparency, efficiency, and impact. Now, first with transparency. I want the general body of students to understand and know exactly what their mandatory fees are going into. I plan on pushing an agenda to show every single student a direct access to ledgers and financial information. Secondly, efficiency. In my past roles, I've learned how important it is to work quickly and accurately, especially when dealing with finances. As treasurer, I'll be highly responsive, detail-oriented, and organized in handling budgets and funding my requests. My goal is to make sure everything is processed smoothly and on time, so students and organizations can rely on consistent support and focus on what really matters in creating meaningful impact for every single student.
Just for the future, you can just talk right from your seat. You have microphones right in front of you. But it was totally okay. You're fine. Even better, we have something over there.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can either speak from your seat or you can go to the microphone that's over there. It's completely up to you. You bring the microphone to me.
All right, thank you very much, Adrian. Next, we're going to go to UB Real with Laron Fomby as the next treasurer candidate.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I want to take the time to thank our moderators for hosting this debate and the students and individuals in the audience for being here tonight. Your participation towards this election is very much appreciated. My name is Laron Fomby. For those who don't know, I'm a junior studying political science. I've served in many student leadership positions here at UB in organizations like UB Model Congress, Tau Sigma, and Alpha Kappa Chi. I've also had the pleasure of serving in SA over the past 2 years in 3 different positions. Previously as an Assistant Director of Environmental Affairs, Elections and Credentials Chair, and currently as an Assistant Director of Club Services. and I'm proud to say that I'm running to be your next Student Association Treasurer under the Real Party. So first off, let me start with something simple, and I think we can all agree with this. Student government should work for students, not confuse them, not frustrate them, not shut them out. And right now, too many students and club leaders feel like SA is hard to navigate, slow to respond, and at times unapproachable. That has to change. As treasurer, my mission is simple: to make SA transparent, efficient, and human-centered. And that's the reason why I'm running with the Real Party, because that is our goal. As a former club leader myself, I've experienced firsthand how difficult it can be to access funding, to understand policies, and to get clear answers from SA. Clubs shouldn't have to jump through hoops just to bring ideas to life. And that is what the Real Party, our fiscal agenda, and our financial platform policies focuses on 3 key priorities: fixing club finance, increasing financial transparency and accountability, and making SA approachable again. If elected, I plan to take action within my first 3 months of my term to streamline club budgeting and reimbursement processes, reduce unnecessary delays, and make guidelines clear for clubs to know exactly what to expect. Your ideas shouldn't be limited by confusion or bureaucracy. I also believe that students deserve to know where their money is going. And as treasurer, I will push for clear financial reporting, accessible breakdowns of spending, and stronger internal controls so every dollar is used responsibly and visibly. But I also realize that the position of treasurer isn't just about numbers or being the chief financial officer of SA. It's about empowering students to lead in their own creative and unique ways. If elected, the Real Party will be committed to making SA more responsive, more supportive, and more respectful. Whether you're a club leader or a general student, you should feel that SA is a resource, not a barrier. If elected, I will work every day to make sure your student government is one that listens, delivers, and represents you with integrity. Thank you, and I hope to earn your vote.
All right, that is it for our treasurer candidates that are present tonight. So we're going to move on to vice president for events candidates. Instead of 3 minutes for your statements, you will get 2 minutes. So got to be a tiny bit more concise. All right, we're going to start off with the Stand on Business Party, Hassan Fusini. Is there a mic over there, or do you? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, UB student body. My name is Hassan Husseini. I'm a junior EOP student studying business administration with a concentration in work. I'm from a country in West Africa called Niger. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, and I currently serve as one-half activities coordinator on UB's African Student Association. I'm also a member of the Stand on Business Party, and I'm running for vice president of the I've been at UB for all 3 years of my undergraduate journey, and I've had many opportunities and experiences that allow me to form perspectives on things like event planning, event execution, and all sorts of things from both behind the scenes and as first-hand experience. In doing so, I've learned that planning events ultimately requires 3 main aspects: making accommodations, marketing strategies, and consistent transparency when communicating with all involved parties. I plan to cater to all communities within UB by playing a role in facilitating SA events, and I plan to ensure that SA events are inclusive to the point where any and everybody feels welcome to participate and attend, making their student activity fee worth it. To do this, I aim to create an efficient partnership between SA and media marketing to guarantee that SA events reach every single nook and cranny of the student body so people aren't subject to being left in the dark and being left out of fun, engaging events. I think it's imperative that as VP events, I interact frequently with the student body to ask them what events they would like to see and feel good about their money going towards and making the college experience feel one of a kind and unforgettable. The general student body deserves to have an input and say in events that are done for them. Stand on Business aims to have SA work with the people. We serve the student body, not just the student government. Voting for me is a guarantee of a great future and great events at UB. Vote me and don't forget to stay in the business. Thank you.
Alrighty then, our next candidate is from the Real Party, William Dung. Also, as a point of reference, come over here if you want to speak, just because the camera can't get the microphone over there.
Thank you, Melanie. Hi, everyone. I want to thank everyone and the moderators for being here today. My name is Will. I am a junior studying accounting, and I currently serve as the Vice President of Clubs for SA this year. Now, I'm running for Vice President of Events under the Real Party for next year. And as the Vice President of Events, I want to make SA programming more student-driven, more consistent, and more collaborative by creating clear, reliable ways for students and clubs to shape what events are offered throughout the semester. That starts with monthly student polling, so we could regularly gather feedback on what kind of events students actually want to attend, what times work best for them, and what communities or interests that may be unheard and underserved. I also want to build a transparent semester event calendar on our website so that students are able to see what's coming in advance so that they can plan ahead of time. This allows students to hold SA accountable for delivering engaging programming that is on a consistent basis. In addition, I also want to increase collaboration with our clubs on campus. Events such as International Fiesta or our traditions like Engineering Week, I want to increase collaboration with them so that SA could better support the organizations that already bring energy, culture, and community to campus. By combining direct student input, stronger club partnership, and better planning and communication, I want SA events to feel less random, more intentional, inclusive, accessible, and reflective of the actual student body. Thank you.
The last candidate for Vice President for Events that's here tonight is Joe Larita from the UB Forward Party.
Hello, my name is Joe. I'm a freshman history major running for Vice President of Events for the UBSA. Okay. I've been thinking about how we can make UB events, the event scene, something students can actually get excited about. And I'm ready to bring that energy to the world. Here's what I'm pushing for as VP of Events. Booking bigger, buzzworthy acts that are more Buffalo-centric. I want to bring Buffalo acts to UB. Scaling up event sizes strategically because larger events actually cost SA less per student, which means more money back into clubs' pockets. Focusing on fresh emerging artists alongside bigger names to keep events more exciting and affordable. But I'm not just talking about events. I've been building them for years. Here's what I've done. I co-founded and led Bateman Backstage, a technical theater group serving head and lighting, sound, and as the club secretary in my high school. I helped with lighting and sound for theatrical runs such as Chicago, The Addams Family, Clue, and I also helped set up 4D Nights. In terms of college, I founded UB Downstate, a club connecting students from New York City, Long Island, and the lower Hudson Valley with each other and with professionals in one of the hardest job markets in the world. I joined the cosplay club and I'm currently a junior e-board member, helping prep for UBCon, reaching out to voice actors, cosplayers, negotiating fees, and leading meetings like the History of Cosplay meeting. I also fully support our party's platform 24-hour dining services, protecting student rights, and fighting for what UB students actually need. I want the students in my... Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So the next position for candidate statements, similar 2-minute time frame, Vice President for clubs. So first we'll start with the stand-on business party again, Arko Saha.
Hello everyone, I'm Arko Saha. I'm a computer engineering major, a sophomore, and I'm standing for Vice President of Clubs for the Silent Business Party. Before I start with the initiatives, I want to say why I want to work for UP. I'm an international student. I have no friends or family here when I first came to the US. I used to miss home a lot, and the thing is I'm a sophomore, I've been here for 2 years, and as time went, I realized one thing. I spend my breaks here, I spend my free time here, I spend studying, eating, sleeping, everything on campus. I can't keep looking back home. What I realized is UP is my new home. People here are my new family because they're the ones I interact with every day. So one thing I want to say is while working for SA, when you work for your home or when you work for your family, you don't wish to get something in return. You work for them because you love and care for them. And that's why I want to work for SA because I love and care for the student body here. Now, moving forward, I want to talk about the initiatives that I want to work on. SA, the club events, I know SA events are really important, but the club events are also important. They're the events that a lot of people go to, and they're like the heartbeat of campus. And there's no need to have unnecessary bureaucracy making those events just a bit harder, making those clubs function just a bit harder. So a few policies that I thought about is important because I have been a part of 3 different clubs in SA. I'm currently starting as their e-board, and I noticed what clubs go through. Number one being the sports clubs. I've talked to multiple sports club leaders, and they face this unique problem of logistics and just room booking, which other clubs don't. So the number one thing is I want to advocate for that. I want to make sure that they get and their voices are heard. Second thing, if any club wants to collaborate with maybe a national body or a local firm that helps them grow or better facilitates them, SA shouldn't be standing between them. SA should be facilitating that growth. The next thing, the appeals process. I have had experience with the appeals process, and the appeals process, it's slow. It needs improvement, and I believe that that's something I want to work on, is making the appeals process faster and making sure that...
Thank you, candidate. Your time is unfortunately up.
Thank you very much, Arko. All right, next we have Unity for UB, Vice President for Clubs, Aiden Thomas.
Hello? Oh, sorry. All right. What's going on, UB? How are we doing tonight? Thank you all for coming out. We're so glad to have you guys here. My name is Aiden Thomas. I'm running for Vice President of Clubs. Now, I could spend the next 2 minutes standing up here telling you all about the leadership positions I've held and the jobs I've worked and why I'm more qualified than everybody else, but that's not why you guys are here, right? You're looking for a vision. You're looking for a vision for a student association that understands that the needs of the clubs supersede everything else. I'm prepared to deliver that vision. First off, if I'm elected, I plan to institute a multitude of policies. I'd like to see the club trainings completely overhauled and to host semesterly workshops for club leadership, for new clubs, so they know what's going on in our office and they feel more connected to their e-board members. Additionally, I want to review policies that we may need to reform for certain circumstances, be more forgiving to our club leadership. Third off, I want to work with the student body and university leadership to effectively reform the archaic and quite frankly headache-inducing room reservation system. And finally, I pledge to meet with every single e-board of every single SA club. That way, you guys can feel more connected to what we're doing in the office. Remember, you guys are the fabric of student life. The clubs make up everything that we do. I'm prepared to deliver a vision that serves you better than the Student Association has ever served before. Join me next week in realizing that vision. Thank you, and go Bulls.
Thank you very much, Aiden. Next, we're going to have UB Real. We're going to have Prana Bala speak next.
Thank you everyone for coming out, and thank you for the moderators as well. Hey everyone, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Prerna. Some of you might recognize me from last year. I ran for VP Events, unfortunately did not win. I was a freshman, and at the time I had a vision, but didn't have the experience quite yet. So since then, I've spent the past year fully immersed in student organizations. Just to mention as well, I'm a business major, concentration in MIS, double minor in French and Bio as well. So I've spent the last year immersed in student orgs, learning how clubs function from the ground up. I currently serve as the president of Dumble Student Association, and through that role, I've experienced everything that comes with being a club leader, kind of seeing all aspects of SA as well. I've worked through the systems and even received like a violation and stuff, so I've seen all the different sides, all the confusion that you can have with SA, and that perspective matters. What makes me different is that I bring a kind of organic view to SA. For not being part of it previously, I'm obviously a club leader. I've been on an extended e-board. I've also been just an active member that goes to clubs as well. So I understand what engagement looks like at every level, and I've been actively involved across multiple cultural organizations. I've also worked closely on large-scale events like Fiesta, where I collaborated with the IC. I'm friends with the academic court as well. So knowing the court is important. It's good for knowing how the major program is executed. And I'm not here to say I know everything about SA. I don't. But I do know clubs, I know how to advocate for them, and my goal is simple, is to make SA more transparent and collaborative by taking actionable steps so all club leaders know I'm here for them. And that's an important goal of mine that club leaders do know, because as someone that's spoken to club leaders, some of them aren't even familiar with a club coordinator, and that's important for them to know that. So just want to get that out there, and yeah, thank you. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the debate.
All right, we're moving on to our Vice President for Advocacy Vice President for Advocacy candidates. Just as a reiteration, candidates, you have 2 minutes to make your statements. So starting off with the Stand on Business Party, Brittany Ando. Oh, she's not here? Okay, that's all right. So I guess we will go straight to Sierra Fernandez from the Unity for UB Party.
What's up, everyone? My name is Sierra Fernandez, a freshman majoring in exercise science with a concentration in pre-athletic training, and I am running to be your 2026-2027 Vice President for Advocacy. Similar to what Aiden said, I could stand up here and spend my 2 minutes talking about my leadership experience, but let's be for real. You guys are here to hear about our initiatives, so that's what I'm going to do. So I want to get into what advocacy means to me first. It promotes this idea that small changes can lead into big change. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, and it's going to get messy with red lines, barriers, and all of that. But at the end of the day, I live by the saying that you have to become comfortable in the uncomfortable, and it's okay to be able to take on those challenges, but at the end of the day, you need someone that turns ideas into action. So how am I going to make that happen for you? I want to bridge us, with more student-run organizations. That's the Residence Hall Association. That is the president that we will be having next year, faculty senate, along with student engagement to have a lot of students available for volunteering outside the Buffalo community and inside. I've gotten a lot of questions about that. And then also I wanted to do a collaboration with UBPD to not only grow on what our current president Aisha and Mason are working on right now with their Know Your Rights campaign, but also to better safety on campus. Not many people know what to do during a shooting. Fire safety is not taken seriously. So I want to work with them to see how we can be more transparent in that sense. And then CDS, campus dining and shops, really big one. I want to tackle turnover percentage. You're going to hear a lot of overpromising in this one, and I'll get into that more later. Sustainability initiatives, putting compost compost machines into residence halls, miscellaneous initiatives, and further outreach while in office. So, yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up from the UB Real Party, Nadia Carter.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to UB Debate, The Spectrum, and SA for hosting. My name is Nadia Carter, and I'm currently a junior at UB studying political science, minoring in ASL and entrepreneurship. I am the Vice President of BASIC. I love to attain ASL Club, UB Women's Soccer Club, BSU, ASA, HSA, LASA when I can. I'm currently the Assistant Director of Advocacy in SA, and I partake in a research program called Students for a Better Buffalo, where we examine the 2026 Buffalo City Charter revision and influence policy. And I'm running with the Real Party. If elected Vice President of Advocacy, I will continue expanding the work with the Advocacy Department, strengthening safety and support for international students by pushing for clear protections, addressing concerns around ICE-related interactions, and ensuring every student feels secure navigating campus life, such as continuing to advocate for Jai, who was a student who was recently abducted by ICE, and working with administration like Brian Hamlick and other staff to support international students. I am committed to making essential resources easier to access by improving the visibility of legal, academic, financial, and wellness support and simplifying the pathways for students to get help. I will lead an advocacy team that is consistently present on the ground, visible, approachable, and actively engaging students through regular outreach and by continuing to lead and prepare our town hall meetings, encouraging students to meet with the Student Association Advocacy Department by booking meetings or emailing their concerns. I will coordinate with other advocacy groups and deepen collaboration with Senate advocates. Lastly, having monthly updated reports for undergraduate students to receive and stay informed on the progress of the Advocacy Department. That way you guys can keep us accountable. The Real Party will aim to build a unified, effective, and recognizable advocacy department that students can trust to simplify and amplify their voices and act on the concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're moving on to our presidential candidates section. Now, instead of 2 minutes, which was given to Vice President, you will have 3 minutes to make your statements. So, starting off with the Stand on Business Party, presidential candidate Benjamin Lau.
Hello everyone, first off I'd like to give a big shout out to all the candidates running and all the audience here listening to us speak. My name is Benjamin Lau and I'm running for the president of the UB Student Association under the Stand on Business Party. I'm running on a platform to enhance the student experience, bring a more personalized experience with SA for students, be an approachable and accessible liaison between students and UB administration, uplift club support, and advocate for fair club funding. I've been involved in SA for 3 years as a senator and as the events VP, so I've seen what changes both helps and hurts clubs, and I've been there long enough to know what works and what doesn't, and how to be an effective leader to improve SA. A lot of the bigger tier clubs that get funding don't get the funding they are entitled to. Student Association has a tier system that every club follows, but sometimes the tier system doesn't work for them. It doesn't allow all clubs to be granted the minimum allocation they are entitled to. The bigger clubs that foster tier 6 funding are underfunded and get the lower tier funds. And too many clubs often face violations for simple misunderstandings. And when club faces violations and go through the appeals process, their budget gets frozen for an extended period of time. This really slows down operations for many clubs. Clubs make up a large chunk of SA. We oversee 200 of them. It is important that we leave no club behind and ensure all clubs are treated properly. I will be working heavily with sports clubs, UB Recreation and UB Athletics to work out sufficient practice spaces and storage spaces for clubs once Clark Hall will be closed. Many students come to big universities to make lasting memories. A lot of memories come from large-scale events that captivate the masses. Under a stand-on business administration, we will prioritize large-scale events that captivate the masses while ensuring the student activity fee is maximized to its full potential. As a student government who oversees 20,000 undergraduate students, it is not representative of student government to primarily host events that have a capacity of 50 to 300 students. The stand-on business party will stand on business and put its foot down when it comes to poor funding for events that don't yield a good return on investment. The Stand On Business Party will also meet with UB administration to tackle issues that affect student life. Some issues on our agenda are working with UB libraries to extend hours in Lockwood and Abbott so students can study longer. Silverman, it gets really loud and crowded, so it's not really a good place to lock in. Another challenge I want to tackle on is the lack of food options available at night. Many students like myself don't have a car, and getting food off campus is such a trek. This campaign isn't about me, it's about you. A vote for Benjamin Lau for president is a vote that your voice isn't left in the dust, and that you have someone who will relate to you, someone who is here for you, and someone who will fight for you. I am here to serve the student body, not the student government. Remember this, remember now, remember to vote for Benjamin Lau, and remember to stand on business.
All right, we're going to be moving on to the Student Voice Party. Ayed Alawad.
Hello? My name is Ayed Alawad, and I'm a sophomore studying pharmacy. I could also, like Aiden and Sierra said, stand up here and tell you what I've done throughout my past leadership experiences, but we want to know, you guys want to know who I am and what I can bring here for UB. I am currently working on becoming a bridge between the UB administration and the UBSA. Currently, right now, the UBSA and UB administration are basically, obviously, two separate entities, but they don't work well with each other. Currently, as a senator right now, I'm working with the UB administration, enrollment management, the vice provost of enrollment management, Christopher Connor, to be able to do more community outreach with SA and UB, to be able to allow people from outside UB to show, hey, this is a great school and you want to come here. Obviously, due to the lack of enrollment of international students, we're losing a ton of funding, so that's affecting us as SA as well. So we need more people from this community to come. We want to connect the bridge between the administration, community, and SA to continue the prestigiousness of UB as a university. I also plan on working more with the students and clubs to make sure that their needs are met. As senator right now, I've seen stuff and I've heard stuff that isn't going well. But especially right now, we've seen the lack of, not the lack of communication, but the lack of timing of the communication. We barely got timing for telling us when the event is going to be, where it's going to be, and just a lack of timing. Yeah. I also plan on working with whoever my treasurer is and my vice presidents to obviously be more transparent and release the treasurer. I want them to release weekly reports or bi-weekly reports of where your money's going, what we spent it for, and how it's being used. And yeah, I mean, that's what I want to bring to the table.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the UB Real Party, Jack Koskinski.
How you guys doing? Good. Good evening. I'm Jack Kaczynski, running for president with the Real Party. I'm not running because I think SA is really bad, super broken, totally not functional, can't come back to life. I think we're a lot closer to it being really good for clubs and for students than a lot of my other candidates up here think, and I think a lot of you guys believe. Club leaders don't know who represent them. Students can't figure out where to go for legal help and counseling. Organizations feel like SA is something to navigate around and not reach out to. These are all pretty basic issues and relatively simple to fix. I think we get over these hurdles, SA can really become a great organization to not just interact with, but to really be a part of. Real promises that. It promises to bring transparency to the organization and to bring a human face back to a group that is really supposed to be serving the students and serving the undergraduates and the clubs that are all a part of it. Clubs should know who their coordinators are and who their VP is, and they should feel like they're able to pick up the phone and make a call when something goes sideways. We'll build a library of plain English guides, very easy to follow instructions and training materials so clubs can focus on having fun and not on succession planning. SA would become easy to engage with and incredibly simple to navigate. As for budget decisions, clubs receive decisions without much explanation. It makes SA feel very corporate. Real will release easy to understand decisions and explanations, then also publish a tier eligibility explainer each spring that walks through exactly how budgets are calculated. We'll release a budget calendar so nobody misses a deadline or loses their shot at an appeal. Every decision will answer what went wrong and what to do about it. That's not a radical ask, and it's a very easy promise that we will deliver on. For advocacy, students need to feel safe on campus. We'll work to strengthen protections for international students, make resources easier to actually find, and get advocates out of offices and into spaces where students are. We've done a lot of work with that. Nadia plans to continue a lot of work with that. And speak out against ICE that is infiltrating our communities. She touched on Jaye earlier. That's a really important case that has hit close to home for a lot of people in the SA office, and it's something we're working on every day. That is a huge advocacy issue we're going to tackle if put into office. We're going to be there for the international students, especially undergraduate students who feel at risk. Events are going to have clubs involved in major programming. There'll be more collaboration across SA and its departments and across SA and the clubs that are part of it. Accessibility will be built in from the start. SA should feel like a partner. Right now it doesn't. That's what we're going to change. Vote real. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to an independent candidate under the UB The Voice Party, Charlene O'Kai.
First and foremost, good evening, everyone. Thanks, guys. My name is Charlene O'Kai. I am a sophomore majoring in political science with a concentration in American politics and minors in global affairs and sociology. I'm running independently for the UBSA candidate for presidency, and I'm proud to announce that I am the only female running. In the near future, I plan to pursue a career in the legal field where I hope to continue advocating for others and creating meaningful change. My passion for leadership comes from my love from connecting with people, learning about their experiences, engaging, and being with the diverse community at UB. I enjoy attending the events held at UB across campus, learning about what each group represents. These experiences have shown me how important it is to celebrate many cultures, backgrounds, and identities that make up our campus. As president, I want to help bring more culture and inclusivity to UB by supporting cultural organizations, encouraging collaborations between student groups, and creating more opportunities for students to share and celebrate their identities. My campaign slogan is "You Be the Voice." It's because I want to be the voice for you guys. This represents my community of being the voice for everyone. I want to listen to students' ideas and understand their concerns, and advocate for what they truly want to see on campus. Essays should reflect on the needs of the students and represent what every student wants and needs. I also believe that students have the space to express themselves and stand up for issues they care about. I support peaceful protest and constructive dialogue. In addition, I want to help create more events that students actually want to attend. So, I will advocate for better food options on campus and stronger communication between students and student government. So, decisions that reflect what student body really wants. My goal is to build a campus environment where students feel safe, represented, supported, and empowered. Together, we can create a campus that's more vibrant, inclusive, and connected. So you be the voice and vote Charlene for president.
All right, last presidential candidate of the night from UB Forward, Graham Peterson.
Hello. All right. So, for UB Forward. So, our platform has three main ideas we want to get across. We want UBSA to be involved in the governance of UB. We want it to impact student life. And we want it to do excellence in club services. So, first off, I'm going to say I was going to skip tonight because someone died, but I decided that it was duty-bound to be here, and that honestly everybody who came here deserves to hear what UB Forward is offering. So 24-hour meal options is one of our biggest platform items. We want food options to be available for students late into the night and earlier in the morning. We want to fix UB's protest policies so that peaceful protesters, which I'm sure there are going to be a lot of in the upcoming years, are better protected by UB. The current policies are only slightly better than they were a couple years ago when a bunch of students got arrested for peacefully protesting. The third thing is the student spaces issue. And with that, I will get into the next part of my speech. So, a lot of the other candidates will not speak about what they have done as leaders at UB because there isn't really that much content there. And the reason why I say that is because I have a ton of experience working in student government across institutions. I was part of the executive board at my previous college. I did a lot of stuff in finance and academics at that college. I was elected SUNY SA delegate earlier this year, and there I wrote and they passed a resolution endorsing better protections for all students for peaceful protests. So then the rooms issue, UBSA, I authored and SA unanimously passed one and passed almost unanimously 2 resolutions endorsing student spaces for club groups. Those things would not have happened if I was not involved. I do not think that SA can exist as a student government if it doesn't have a vision for how SA should interact with the governance system of UB and with its clubs. And I just don't see a holistic platform from any of the other parties. So I will ask you to vote for UB Forward. I will ask you to check out our website, ubforward.com, the only campaign that actually has a working website. You can check out all of our platform items. We have 14 key points that you should understand before you vote. And aside from that, we have a bunch of other supplemental policies that will come out in the coming days. Thank you. Vote for UB Forward.
All right, thank you, everyone. Wow. Would everyone be amenable to a quick 5-minute break before Q&A? Yes? All right, 5 minutes, and then we'll reconvene. Alrighty then, settle down. We all would like to go home at a reasonable time, so the faster we get through the Q&A session, the faster that we can let all of you ask the questions that you want to ask. Alright, just as a point of note, Arko Saha, the Stand on Business Party candidate who's running for Vice President for Clubs, he's stepping out, so presidential candidate Benjamin Lau will be speaking on behalf of Arko. But now that we're going to get into the candidate question session, I'll hand it over to TJ.
All right, everyone. So the format of this is going to be that we're going to read out a question tailored to each position, and then each candidate for treasurer will have 1 minute to make a response. Same going for the presidential questions. And then for all the VP roles, you only have 30 seconds to answer your question. So first we're going to start with treasurer as we did originally. The question is, many clubs cite the purchasing process as a common obstacle to accomplishing their goals. What part of this process do you see as the greatest bottleneck? And how would you streamline this process while still following all internal and external rules? So first, we're going to start with the stand-on business party. Arco, but Ben filling in for him. Oh, sorry. Adrian Espinal, sorry.
Sorry. So, Arco, don't worry about it. This is just a treasurer candidate section, so Adrian, you would be responding. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, so first and foremost, I'd rather yell, like, honestly. Okay, perfect. Everybody can hear me? Alright. So first and foremost, thank you so much for the question. To me, the biggest bottleneck is, since I am part of the Latin American Student Association, I am behind the scenes. I understand that some clubs come across the 2-week wait period, so you have to put PO offer 2 weeks in before you make the submission. Some clubs have trouble with that because certain deadlines, they need to do certain things. So as me being treasurer, I would try to figure out a way it makes it more convenient for other clubs to make PO offers within 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Adrian. All right, next from UB Real, we have Laurent Pombi.
Okay, here we go. Thank you for the question. So first off, the biggest problem with clubs putting in POs is the wait time. And we need to do better than to say that we need to respond to them within 2 weeks. We need to find out a way to respond to POs within, in my personal opinion, 48 hours if possible. Clubs should be able to go directly to the SA office, speak directly to the procurement and finance department, even the SA treasurer in the most extreme circumstances, and say, hey, we need to put in a PO for a certain event. Is there any way that we can expedite this process? There should be no reason as to why a club is waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks for a PO. The Real Party, our fiscal and financial policies towards this is very comprehensive. It's very simple and clear, making sure that there's clear communication with clubs so that it's not a big obstacle. That's pretty much it.
Thank you very much, Laurent. Okay, the next question is, the treasurer serves as an executive steward over SA's budget, ensuring that funds are not mishandled according to UB, New York State, and federal codes. How would you ensure transparency and accountability in your financial management? First, we'll start with Adrian.
Okay. Okay, so as I stated previously, I am an accounting major, and one of the things they do preach in accounting is financial transparency. You have to be very liable when it comes to what exactly you're going to give the funds to. I want to work on creating a system that everybody has to follow. That way, there's no leaks. Certain clubs cannot go around the federal codes and also the NYC codes as you stated. Yeah, necessarily speaking, kind of just like make a whole system so everything is formatted and there's no leaks. That way, no treason could be made.
Okay, next we'll have Laurent.
Thank you. So, first off, it's really hard in SA for there to be fiscal irresponsibility. Jesus Christ. The way that we make financial transparency happen is if we publicize how SA spend their money. What do I mean by publicize? Because everything's already public now. I'm talking about making sure that the Senate knows bi-weekly what we're spending money on, making sure that the student body knows. The question is, though, how do we make that happen? Social media. The same way that we market elections, the same way that we market SA events, we should be marketing and prioritizing and publicizing the money, our budget, what we spend that on, a lot of students feel like that if we did that, they would have very few questions. I think if we do that, a lot of the problems that we have now in terms of financial transparency will be solved. It's a very common issue that can be solved with a common sense approach. And I think if I'm elected treasurer, I will do that. Just in time.
We're also going to have Grant Peterson fill in for UB Forward's treasurer, Kaylee.
All right, thank you. So, transparency, it's a buzzword. So I am going to walk through what purchase requests look like on SA's side for students. So first off, you get the purchase request. Second, you sign it. Third, you send it to funds management so that you can get a check, like a physical check, to do the disbursement. So while we would like to have purchase requests done within 2 weeks, you literally cannot do it because of New York State guidelines. So I won't make empty promises about how we could possibly maybe reform if New York State changes literally everything on a dime, the finance system, but I will tell you one thing that nobody else is going to do. If UB Forward is elected, we will do it. We will hold monthly executive board meetings where we will give a full review of the finances each month.
Thank you very much. For the last question for the treasurers, the treasurer is expected to dispense decisions while navigating SA policy, university codes, state and federal nonprofit law, and many more statutory rules. What experience or qualities do you possess with budgeting, financing, and fundraising that you believe will enable you to meet this expectation on behalf of the students? So we'll start with Adrian from Stand on Business.
Okay, first and foremost, just to elaborate on my candidate statement. As I stated previously, over the summer I had a sales internship where I did sales, direct marketing, and accounting as well too. I led a team of 5 representatives where I audited all their sales, all their transactions, and all their business financials. On top of that, here on campus, I actually have my own food selling business where I make and sell birria tacos for this general body of students. Now, I don't do the operations. I'm simply not a cook. I'll be honest with y'all. But I do the financials. On Excel, I have income statements, balance sheets, everything is very well organized. When it comes to financials, I would definitely say I have a specialty and very much I'm very expertise when it comes to, I have expertise when it comes to Excel and Tableau, which are also accounting softwares, if you were not aware. Tableau, yeah, pardon me. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Adrian. All right, next from UB Real, we're going to have Laurent.
Thank you. First off, I believe that students deserve a treasurer that's a no-nonsense individual, someone that is able to make decisions instantly and able to provide an elaborate and detailed reason why they made that decision. I feel like I am the only candidate on this stage running for treasurer that is able to do that. I am the only candidate running for treasurer that is able and has the qualifications for that. In terms of, again, what students are looking for a treasurer, someone that is following SUNY guidelines, the Internal Revenue Code, making sure that the $5 million budget that SA has is spent responsibly. If we don't have that, then SA will run amok. The SA treasurer is the most important position in the organization. They are the chief financial officer of SA. They oversee, again, almost $5 million budget. It is very vital and important that everyone in this room votes for someone that they know that they can trust, and I do believe I am that candidate.
Thank you very much, Laurent. All right, and then finally we'll have Grant filling in for Kaylee again.
Hello, so speaking on behalf of another person for their qualities, it's a little bit of a weird situation, but Kaylee has experience as a club leader across several departments, I guess you could say, within SA. I won't speak about every specific role, but president, vice president, secretary, those are a few of them, as well as for WISE, which is Women in STEM and Engineering, which is a department-funded club as well. So she has an understanding of the club perspective from several different types of clubs, and also from departmental level funding. So For her, I would say that she has the most club experience of anybody running. I would also say that, she's a STEM major. She can do math.
All right. So for the first Q&A portion for this, we're going to be doing the pre-made questions over here. We'll have rebuttals for the audience questions.
All right, thank you, treasurer candidates. Now we are going to move into the Q&A portion for Vice President for Events. Starting off, the Vice President for Events oversees SA's largest departments, programming and entertainment, to give students of all backgrounds events that enhance their student or college experiences. How would you motivate and encourage staff to execute and implement ideas that you believe would foster engagement from the student body? All right, whenever you're ready, from the Stand-On Business Party, Hassan.
Is this on? Okay, cool. Right now, I serve as the activities coordinator on UBSA. I've hosted and created itineraries and all type of events for ASA. We have a bunch of different events, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about what I can do for SA. I'm somebody that's on campus all the time. I'm on campus every day, so I know the student body. I know what I can get done. I know what the student body wants, and I can perform that for them.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the UB Real Party, William Dong.
Hello. To answer the question, to motivate and encourage our staff to execute ideas and events that actual students will like to attend to, is one of our platform ideas is to create monthly polling for students to survey what students actually want, what they want to see in our events. So from that data, we can see what kind of events that people actually want.
Awesome, thank you. Moving on to the UB Forward Party, Joe, whenever you're ready.
Hello. So basically, this is loud. What I would do, just like what the UB Real Party does, I would also put out polls. But what I would also do that would be different and unique from any past SA party would be that I would ask roaming questions. I would go into the student body itself, and I would ask them questions like, what interests you? What would you want to see in terms of events for? All right.
Thank you. Just to reiterate, you would have 30 seconds to answer the question. Okay, question number 2. How would you describe your vision for SA events, and what budgeting style would you use to execute adequate funding for them? All right, whenever you're ready, the Stand-On Business Party, Hassan.
My vision for UB events is go big or go home. I want UB events to have every single person on the UB student body there. I want everybody of all nooks and crannies to come to all of our events and have a great time. The budgeting style that I will use, I'll work in tandem with my treasurer and make sure that we can get the best prices, the best prices, the best everything that we can get for our events, so everybody can be there, everybody can have a great time.
Okay, whenever you're ready, the UB Real Party, Will.
My vision.
Use the one next door. The yellow one.
My vision for our SA events is actually not necessarily an emphasis on the bigger events, because a lot of students are not able to participate in those, especially for like non-traditional students like commuter students, students who are parents. And I want to make sure it is inclusive for all students who attend, not just all the big ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Moving on to Joe from the UB Forward Party.
I would like to bring Buffalo events to. I would like to bring Buffalo artists to Buffalo. I want to bring Buffalo to UB. A lot of the artists that we've had, although good, have not been from Buffalo, and I would love to see the Buffalo community give more love to UB as an entity.
Thank you, and now we're going to move on to the Q&A session for Vice President for Club.
Okay, the first question for VP of Clubs is, clubs often have issues with policies and procedures that can make it difficult for them to complete their goals. How would you balance supporting club needs with your responsibility to enforce SA policies and procedures? First, we'll start with the Stand on Business Party with Ben filling in for Arco. Oh, Arco's back. All right, Arco.
So one thing I mentioned in my speech was bureaucracy. These clubs are the main heartbeat of campus, and the events are too, and giving them additional bureaucracy will make it just a bit harder for them. So one thing I want to do is make the appeal process a bit easier. However, maintaining rules and making sure clubs follow everything is important. So the one way I would want to balance them is come up with proper communication with them so they're aware of the policies, as well as I'm supporting them as the VP of clubs.
Next, from Unity for UB, we have Aiden Thomas.
Thank you, TJ. It's important to understand when we're talking about clubs that it's all run by students, right? We're all students, we're not professionals, we don't know everything about everything. So I think it's really important to be forgiving in a lot of different situations in terms of violations. We don't always have to crack down on the rules and things like that. As far as the appeals process, it's only for really specific things, but I think a stronger relationship between SA and the clubs will reduce the need for enforcing so many policies.
Thank you very much, Aiden. All right, next from UB Real, we have Prana.
I think SA's already been going in the right direction with this. Kind of making things more human, more organic, and making them less harsh on students. Like even I've dealt with person, like I said, I've gotten a violation before. I know what it's like. But one of my policies as well is actually having a club feedback policy, like a form, where pretty much should be sent out monthly. They'd be able to speak about the policies, let them know what issue there is, and let them know that I'm here for them, and if I can help out if there's any issues. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Prana. Okay, the next question. The VP of Clubs serves as SA's point of command between both SA club services and council coordinators. How do you plan on managing multiple teams while improving SA's relationship with its clubs? First, we'll start Stand on Business with Arco.
So, firstly, I want to improve the clubs by saying that I want to make this one promise where I want to attend at least one club meeting of every single club in UB in my tenure. That's one promise I want to make. I don't know if I can achieve it, but that's something I definitely want to focus on. The other way I want to make sure that the clubs or teams have their proper communication is I'm making sure that I set the priorities straight before from the summer time so that they all are aware of all the policies and the rules from before.
Thank you very much, Arco. Next, from Unity for UB, Aiden Thomas.
Thanks, TJ. So there's 4 ways I want to address this. First off, like I said, I want to have a meeting with the e-board of every single student association club so they can give me their feedback, their concerns, we can turn that into action. I also want to hold semesterly workshops for new clubs and for students to understand how SA works, reduce violations. I want to do monthly feedback over polling and things like that. And I definitely want to get feedback whenever we make a big decision within the department. So I want to, poll club leadership and ask them what their thoughts are on big decisions like that.
Thank you very much, Aiden. You be real. We have Prana.
Just being familiar. I want to be familiar with each other. For all the council coordinators to know the club leaders that they would work under, and even for myself to be known amongst all the club leaders. Being familiar with each other is important. It's a good way to get communication. If you know each other, you can easily contact each other, and issues will be solved much smoother. And yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice President for Club Candidates. Moving on to Vice President for Advocacy Candidates. Starting first. The Vice President for Advocacy serves as UB's diverse student population, with many of them who tend to be passionate about many causes, sometimes in opposition to one another. How do you plan on balancing your duty to viewpoint neutrality versus, or as known as, not giving certain students preferential treatment, but still taking a firm, non-performative stance on issues students rely on you to advocate for? All right. Whenever you're ready, from Unity for UB, Sierra.
All right, so the biggest thing with this one is that whenever I look at an individual, I don't see a color, an ethnicity, I just see a person. So the biggest thing with that is I've come into situations with a lot of different types of people that I don't agree with, like politically or personally or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're able to come to a conclusion. No matter what conversation I'm in, I find a similarity, and that won't change even if I'm an advocate for them, because the biggest thing is that I serve as an advocate for them. So.
Thank you. Moving on to UB Real, Nadia, whenever you're ready.
Hello? Okay. Someone's background is important, especially since we come from a diverse student body. So you can't say, oh, I won't look at someone's background or where they come from. It's important. And it's our job as advocates to stand in the gap and to hear people out, whether they are against one another. It's important for us to be the people that can change the conversation into a more positive attitude. So, yeah.
Thank you. Now, the second question. As the Vice President for Advocacy, you oversee the Advocacy Department. What strategies will you use to effectively utilize these employees? Okay, whenever you're ready, from the Unity for UB Party, Sierra.
Perfect. So I love this question because if I get elected into office, I have this plan of, it's called microcycle, mesocycle, and macrocycle. So macrocycle is what am I going to do for the whole entire year. Mesocycle is what am I going to do in the months leading up to that, months leading up to it, weeks leading up to it. What am I doing in the microcycle is like what am I doing in the days in between. I'm very good with teams. I'm going to strategize with them to be able to work with their strengths and everything, and kind of as a team effort in total. So yeah.
Thank you, Sierra. From the UB Real Party, whenever you're ready, Nadia.
Okay, something that I definitely utilize is delegation. Right now, the VP of Advocacy has assistant directors of advocacy. I am one of them. There's 5 of us. We are very competent people who literally have joined this position to help students. So therefore, use your employees to the best of your ability. Whatever goals, whatever desires that they have to change, essay or to try to change the school to a positive, more friendly setting, use them to your best ability. Use the team building, use the organization, and remember, servant leadership is the best leadership.
Thank you, Vice President for Advocacy Candidates. Now we are going to be moving into the presidential candidate section. Presidential candidates, all of you have a little bit more breathing room to respond. All of you will have 1 minute to formulate your answer to our questions. Starting off, what is the most important quality or skill that an SA president should have, and how do you think you embody it? Okay. Whenever you're ready, from the Stand On Business Party, Benjamin.
One important quality or skill that as SA president that I think I have now that would embody the organization is that the importance of following up. It's important to always follow up with clubs, important to always follow up with different vendors when you're working different events. It's always important to follow up in general. The one thing that, in order to promote transparency, you always have to follow up when someone has a question. And I think that's one quality or skill that I think as SA president I could easily embody. You always have to follow up on every single club. We have 200 of them, and you also have to follow up on every other. Even for advocacy, you also have to follow up with every administrator or someone higher up that you're meeting up with to promote change. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Moving to the Student Voice Party. Ayed, whenever you're ready.
Hello. I would say the most important skill is the most basic one, leadership. Leadership embodies everything, the communication, the how you work with people, it just embodies everything. So I would say that is the most important skill because that's who you're looking up to make school or whatever you're doing better. I think I embody it due to all the positions I've held throughout my career. My life, basically, up until now. I've done peer support, I went to summer camps and had students come up to me with their problems, and I would help them as a leader in that community to address it and fix it before it gets to a serious problem. I've been on multiple sports teams and everything. So I would say that's how I embody it, and that's the most basic and correct answer.
Thank you, Ayed. Moving on to the real party. Jack, whenever you're ready.
Most important skill, 100%, is listening. You have to be a good listener. I know a lot. I learned a lot from the treasurer role this year. I learned a lot from my time before that in clubs and as a senator. But I don't know all of you. I can't possibly know every issue 18,000, 20,000 undergraduate students have. I have to listen. I can execute, I can fix a problem pretty quick. I got fairly good at it. I can solve an issue within like a day, sometimes less. But I have to be able to listen to everyone and really understand what an issue is to be able to execute upon that. Listening to clubs, listening to undergraduate students, listening for advocacy issues, and listening to administration so I know what needs to get done and what needs to get changed. Execution is the easy part, but I have to know which way I'm going. 100% listening is the most important skill.
Thank you, Jack. Moving on to Charlene from the UB The Voice Party.
I can just.
Okay, first and foremost, I think an important skill to have is accountability. I want students to hold me accountable for everything I do promise and what I will do. I feel like accountability is very important because we should be held accountable. I feel like I embody that because I am in the legal profession, so I do like work in courts and stuff like that, and I do deal with a lot of clients, and they do hold me accountable. I recently just worked with a lawyer out in Atlanta called Brian Scale, and he held me accountable to get every task done. So I feel like when it comes to being held accountable, that's something I'm just gonna do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. Moving into UB Forward, Grant.
All right, so the word I'm going to choose is action. So the president of SA is not just a role where you have to manage SA and make sure that's not on fire. It also is a role that has significant impact in the governance of UB. And I'll just say, as a senator for SA, I'm the only person who's written and gotten passed resolutions endorsing better student life at UB. In response to the Room 373 shutdown by the UB administration, I wrote that resolution. I went with the people from that room to talk to the faculty senate and get them on board. They wrote a letter to the administration saying that they should fix the problem, and then we met with the administration and expressed some concerns. And now the administration appears to be in the works of a referendum on the issue. So if you want to get things done, vote for UB Forward.
Thank you. Second question. As SA president, you are the figurehead and spokesperson for the organization. How do you handle criticism or pressure from your constituents, whether it be UB students or SA staff, or external stakeholders such as the university? Whenever you are ready, from Stand on Business, Ben.
Well, first off, it's important to take criticism as a learning experience, but also another voice from a different perspective that you might not have. And as president, I might think things one way and other people might think things the other way. But if there is criticism towards an idea that I have, and I'm all ears, I'm open to listening to every one of you, all the students, and as long as it's feasible and even under pressure, as the president of SA, it's important that the president of SA puts the students' best interests first and always focus on the majority, not the minority. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Up next, from the Student Voice Party, Ayad.
Personally, criticism, I take it as a compliment because that's telling me, hey, these people are they feel welcome to come to talk to you and tell you what their problems are. Because for some people, criticism is something really bad, and people are afraid to go up and talk to them. If I get elected, I invite students and staff to come into wherever I am, my office or anything, and tell me what I did wrong. We could have a dialogue, and I want to hear what you would do better and how you would do it. I've done sports all my life, and I was captain for a good amount of my time as a player in my sports. Even when my teammates would do something wrong, I used to play on defense. If someone makes a mistake, the coach would yell at me, and I just took it with my heart and understood that it's not to take me down, but to help me bring everyone around up.
Thank you. Well, Jack, from the Real Party, whenever you're ready.
As president, every decision I make is going to be grounded, at least initially, with the best interest of students at heart. If people take criticism with that, there's a lot of types of criticisms, mainly though frivolous criticism and constructive criticism. If there's real criticism that's constructive and grounded in a serious mistake I had made and misjudged what was in the best interest of students, then that needs to be addressed. It can be addressed fairly easily. It's the actual analysis of criticism. A lot of bad actors are out there who try and critique the organization or critique certain actions, and a lot of those are frivolous critiques or lack context around the organization. So being able to discern what actually has meaning, what actually is constructive, and what can actually be possibly feasibly done is really important before taking action on any criticism.
Thank you, Jack. Charlene from the UB, the Voice Party, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so if I was president, I would handle criticism pretty well because my whole slogan is "You be the voice," right? Being the voice for students. First and foremost, criticism is good. It's not a bad thing. I would want to hear from my peers and the students how they feel about certain things. I want you guys to come up to me, stop me in the hallway, text me on TikTok. I do post a lot, and just let me know like things that you feel as though is you don't agree with on campus. I would also be very open to like talking about the criticism that I receive. So I feel like personally for me, I would like be open to it and I would handle it. I'm gonna be a problem solver, not a problem creator. So that's just personally how I would handle it. Thanks.
Last but not least, the UB Forward Party, Grant Peterson.
So, as SA president, I would obviously try to go to students for their concerns. I think I've demonstrated that during my time as a senator for SA. Some of the candidates who were running were very hostile to the Room 373 people when they came to SA to describe their issues, and that was reported on by the Spectrum. I think that having an open door policy for SA is a better way of doing it. I think that yes, approaching people for their concerns, also a good way of doing it, but actually doing something about it is a lot more important than just listening to concerns and kind of smiling and nodding. So I'll say this, that the current SA president, Aisha, has done an excellent job with that, especially on the rooms issue. There's tons of disagreement between everybody in SA about how to do things in particular, but I think that the most important thing in that realm is having a shared vision.
All right, thank you all. We're nearly there. Third and final question. The presidential term is set to an academic year long, which is 9 months excluding breaks. What would be your largest priority to accomplish within your first semester in office? Whenever you are ready, Ben, from the Stand on Business Party.
Some priorities, the largest priority to accomplish within the first semester in office are try to think of SMART goals, reasonable goals that are achievable. With just 1 year in your term, there's not a lot of time that you can do much of. One thing I wanted to do was try to if elected as president, is I wanted to see what I could do to help clubs out and ensure that all the clubs get the proper funding, because without funds for a club, they can't really do much. So I want to ensure that every club gets the funding that they deserve. Secondly, because we have a lot of amazing candidates on the stage, I want to highlight the emphasis of ranked choice voting. If elected as president of the Student Association, I want to implement ranked choice voting so that all the students in this room could vote for a bunch of candidates and rank them first to however many candidates are running. Because I can say proudly that there are a lot of good candidates on the stage who I find very favorable, and I think with ranked choice voting, the students have an opportunity to vote for as many candidates as they want. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Moving on to the Student Voice Party, Ayad.
So my first thing would to be build that bridge and that connection with the UB administration, because what we're doing here now is not just affecting the current year or 2 semesters that we're here, but it's affecting everything so on. Like, we want to start building stuff that helps future generations of e-board work with the UB administration so that they could work better with the students. Because if we build that connection, we will help the students even more. And I would say we have a little longer than 9 months, because once you know you win, you should start from that moment building whatever you're doing and going out to students. So be like, hey, I won, and this is what I want to do. What do you want me to do for you?
Thank you, Ayad. Jack from the Real Party, whenever you're ready.
The
Real Party has kept a really big emphasis on making sure all our promises are actually achievable. If elected, over the summer, we're going to really put together like a first semester plan of every single goal that we want to get done. Super achievable stuff, easy shots to put up and just bring home quick wins for the students. Stuff like a staff directory, website overhaul, some club policy changes, finance changes so that POs move faster, apparel stuff are easier to purchase. It's like a lot of really technical changes that are clogging up clubs, slowing things down, and making it a little difficult to navigate life as a student and interact with the organization as an undergraduate student. There's just a lot of stuff that can be planned over the summer and then executed really, really quick over the first semester. Just be win after win after win after win really fast from summer planning.
Thank you, Charlene. Last but not least, Grant from the UB Forward Party.
All right, so achievable in 9 months. First off, I'll say that the first time the current executive board touched the tier system to make it a little bit better happened at the start of the semester. So really, if you're able to prepare over the summer, why wait until the last minute? So for me, I would fix the club spaces issue. I'd fix the booking system because it kind of sucks. Other things that are more governance related would have to be probably spring semester, but I think within the first semester, things like SA internal policies can definitely be fixed up. Making public what employees do, what mandated office hours, so that you can actually speak to the people, and they're not just kind of like in the office, getting paid to be in the office. So issues like that, we can fix them pretty easily.
Okay, thank you very much, Grant. All right, now we're going to be moving on to the Q&A section. So we're going to be pulling out audience questions. We'll be passing the mic around the room. If you direct it towards a specific candidate, they will get 30 seconds to rebuttal. Otherwise, please direct it towards a specific position, and then we will go through the room, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ryder Albano. I'm the Engineering Council Coordinator. How's it going? So one big thing about my position, I hardly knew the two people who had this position before me, and when I got the position, I realized one of the key points is every coordinator is supposed to have a meeting with every single club under their council once a semester. Now, I did that for my council, and I saw a very big uptick in positive view on SA throughout the engineering clubs. This is specifically to the presidents. What would you do to your appointed, or how would you ensure that your appointed coordinators followed what their role is supposed to do?
Let's go this way. That's true. You know what? Brandon, your time is not again, so we're going from right to left. Or more left to
So the council coordinators, nice segue, mandated office hours has to happen. They should be available to the clubs. The next thing is that those meetings that happen between the club coordinators and their respective council clubs, they kind of only started to happen after I brought up during one of the town halls that SA did last semester, hey, they're not doing it. So in terms of getting it done for next year, I think that starting off early, making sure the appointments are done before the semester starts, because there are some vacancies going in, would be very, very helpful. Other than that, just honestly, basic communication, which SA appears to lack.
I feel as though Also, I would just try to have like better communication, also being like more transparent, also like bringing in social media as a way just to like kind of understand where you guys are coming from. Also setting up like maybe bi-weekly meetings. I would try to push for also just, even if we don't have to meet, like via email, just check-ins and following up, because you know I do want to be the voice for you guys. So yeah, that's what I would do.
I like Brent's idea of mandated office hours for all coordinators. Like it so much that I already did it this year and is already a thing. Would just keep that in place going into next year. I think a lot of coordinators can learn from each other. I think the communication between them could be a little better, but certain coordinators, I think, I saw Akash here, Ryder as well, there's certain coordinators that really connect with their council. And I think pushing for more meetings with the e-board, Nor as well, I'm sorry. Pushing for more meetings with the e-boards within their council and making sure that if an issue comes up that coordinator is like CC'd on an email or is looped into the communication on those problems will just make SA a more human organization and will help give clubs a point of contact to speak to about the problems.
Okay, so I would, like, I'm not gonna lie, they get hired and they get paid no matter what they do. So we would continue what the current e-board has done, the mandated office hours. But I feel like, I would. You only have, like, the other day in our Senate meeting, I just said to improve or like to add, if you could only have one vehicle accident, because through 12 months for insurance purpose or whatever, because that's a mistake. But twice, that's not a mistake. And if you don't have those mandated office hours twice or have those mandated meetings, you'll just get fired. Like, we'll find someone that does the job better because they get paid and they want to do better stuff for the students and make sure that they're actually seen.
Yeah, so I'd like to say that Jack kind of took the words out of my mouth with the mandated office hours. To add on, one thing I'd like to do is I would like for the council coordinators to be more engaged with the clubs by making sure that they also attend a meeting in every single club in that council, which is already a requirement for the coordinators. And what we would do that is they would have it in the weekly report, but also in terms of club tracking and to ensure that they're actually doing their job and meeting up with every different club e-board. What I'm going to suggest is I'm going to implement that all the council creators have an Excel sheet that they share with the president, treasurer, and the VP of clubs, because council creators are part of the club, so I think the VP of clubs should also have a say in that. We should see, it has a list of the club e-boards for each council, and then the date that they met them, and also who was in that meeting as well, so we know who in each and every single SA club that the individual council creator met up with. So that way we have a track on which SA club has not been formally introduced to their council creator.
Great. Thank you, presidential candidates. Hands up if you want to ask a question.
Alright, this question is for Grant Peterson. So, a female member of UBSA recently filed a no-contact order against you stemming from multiple harassment complaints. As a presidential candidate, how do you respond to this? And should students, especially women, feel safe under your leadership?
I have not received any correspondences about this, so I have no words about that. I don't know anything about this situation beyond what you're telling me. I think this is a very targeted question and is mostly just designed to assassinate character prior to the election. No comment further than that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, hands up.
Sorry.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I laugh when I get nervous, and it's a very bad thing. Hello. If I ask a lot of procedural questions, it's because I'm your sitting president. So no sleeper cell here. This question is for Grant, just based on something you said about the council coordinators that I found. I would like to give you an opportunity to contextualize a little bit more. So earlier this year, myself and my current treasurer, Jack, drafted a resolution allowing the SA president and treasurer to, by joint motion, remove sitting council coordinators upon non-performance of their jobs. Because the problem that was happening was that council coordinators were being appointed for year-long positions, getting paid whether they delivered on their job or not, and it was effectively impossible to remove them. So we drafted a resolution so that they could be removed like regular employees, and impacting that accountability structure really, generally when you touch people's money, it changes how they show up to work. The council coordinators all voted for that, and the only vote against that resolution was yourself. So how do you plan on holding council coordinators accountable? Do you stand by that vote? And can you just clarify a little bit what your accountability structure with regards to council coordinators would look like?
Just for some clarification, one, I did not vote against it. It's in the minutes. Second, the actual wording of the resolution, and I regret voting for it for this reason. It says with or without cause, so it's not like it's saying, hey, we can remove these people if they're not doing their jobs. Sure, that may be true in the case of SA having good staff and being diligent with those things. That's true, but it's not actually what the policy itself says. So in terms of office hours, I did misspeak a little bit. Yes, they are mandated this year, and I have the office hours, but it's not something that is actually indicated in written SA policies, and it has not been historically.
Grant, just to confirm, you said that you did not vote. How did you vote on the club council coordinator resolution?
Second, just once. Okay, so motion to approve Resolution 2025-26 by Ryder, second by Aria. S3 is the council coordinator resolution. Not going to read through all the names. There were 2 abstains, Josh Brodsky, Devin Hendricks, 1 no actually, and that is Aid Alawad. 18 yeses, and one of those is me. So, not really sure what type of point of information that was, but hey man, check your facts before you point of information.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Moving on, raise hands up if you want to ask a question. I'm going to go like a parabola, so go back, and then I'll come right up back to the front over there.
Do you want it?
Alright. Yeah. This year was the first full year of one of the biggest changes to the structure of SA as a whole, with the implementation of 2 additional VPs to ease the workload of e-board. For those that may not know, these VP positions are tenure positions and earn $18,000 a year. They often aren't involved in everyday operations and operate without direct oversight. This isn't a diss to the current VPs. I know there's a couple of you on stage, or the broken positions they hold. Could the presidents answer the following question? Do you support the change that was made to the structure of SA e-board, and why or why not? Additionally, if you do not support this change, could you explain what steps you would take to potentially readjust the current positions and hold them more accountable? Presidents?
The question is directed towards presidential candidates, so starting from Brad and on.
Right. So the multiple VPs thing, it's been in place for a year now. In all honesty, I'm somewhat ambivalent towards the specific change. I think that having more paid staff as elected employees of SA would be superior in general. A different model that exists in SUNY is the Stony Brook model, where they have over 20 VPs or other elected officials for basically every service that they offer. It's not every single employee, but it is a substantial portion of that. In years prior, you also had the coordinators as an elected position, but it's very difficult to actually have that work properly just because of people being busy and elections being kind of hard to run sometimes. So in terms of the specific change, I would be supportive of additional elected roles. What those specifically would be, we'd have to see over the course of the year, but I couldn't promise anything for that until spring of next year.
In terms of having like multiple VPs for positions, I am in support of it, just because I feel as though SA as a whole, we all have a lot of different roles and different things to accomplish. So personally, I do feel as though we need the help so we can get to the entire student body, not just focus on certain parts of the student body. So yes, I am in full support of it. So I do agree that we do need more VPs.
I don't support the change, at least not from what I saw this year. We had director positions. They were basically they were able to be hired and then removed the same way any other employee could. The work that I saw and the way I saw that the departments behaved with the new VP roles, I think might have just been early first like growing pains. I'll give it another year to find out. I think the directors were fine. The VP's change were like flat, maybe negative. I think more elected positions is great. I'd like to see how it rolls out for another year. But at the end of the day, for my year, the important thing for me is going to be to make sure all the VPs feel like they have ownership over the departments and that they can properly delegate their responsibilities. I think if they do that, the VP change is fine.
I support the change that happened. I was just informed it was the VP of advocacy and VP of clubs and events, if I'm correct. I just thought these were no-brainers, that they're needed to help delegate the task to not just overpressure the president and the treasurer and the president and treasurer. I thought these no-brainers. And if we, Jack said, it just happened this year, so even though it's like flatlined or like not as much happened as we wanted or was the idea, we would have to give it more time to see what it could actually bring to the table. And if not, we could then restructure it and make it a hired position instead of an elected position to be able to fire them.
So I'd say for the most part, I am in support of the 3 new VPs with the creation of the VP of Events role and the student affairs director being elected. The most sought after positions are the student affairs director and working for SA Entertainment. You get a lot of high quality candidates, and instead of picking through a lot of applicants, let's just let people vote for who they think is best to lead that department. Also, in my role as VP Events, I'm very blessed to have an amazing entertainment director, Khalil and Gavin, who's there to help out in everyday operations for events. So I think that with my role, I'm taking a lesser workload away from Jack and Aisha as the president and treasurer, because in a lot of the events backstage and doing the background operation stuff, I'm also there in their place. So it's one less task that Aisha and Jack are dealt with. So for the most part, yes, I am in support of the new change, but also other schools, they have that as well.
Thank you. So just because we're nearly close to 9 p.m. and we're slowly wrapping up, I will be running around to get everyone's questions in before. So candidates, we're going to move down to 30 seconds as an answer, just so because we want to get as much questions in. Starting.
Hi, I just had a question for Jack and Nadia. You guys mentioned that I love the idea of protecting international students from ICE. How would you do that?
Sorry. They're okay with either or. So either you or Nadia.
Yeah, this is a very good question. It's something that the advocacy department is currently working on, and I want to continue. Definitely continue to work with the administration as we're doing, and working with ISS, which is International Student Services, to make sure that we're able to get the job done. But also making sure that UB has a very clear procedural policy of, okay, if ICE comes on the campus, what do we do as students? What do we do as professors? That's something that we don't really have, so we need to make sure that they feel safe, along with hosting workshops. So it's not just, oh, you have your 4 years here, good luck, but doing better. So.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm Michael. I heard a lot about protocols for ICE from many people up here, but I would like to just get a more specific view on what you guys are actually talking about from both Sierra and Nadia. Nadia, could you go ahead first? What protocol would you implement, or just an idea, and then Sierra next.
Yeah, I get to finish. Okay, so along with the making sure that we have a protocol that students actually know, I also want to make sure, like I was talking about with the regular workshops, knowing that students know their rights. I know sometimes we have that, but it's not always consistent. Along with that, having improvement in communication, and even possibly putting together a student rapid response team that connects to their families and connect to their friends and get the word out saying, okay, this student needs our help, what can we do? So that's definitely something I want to implement.
Yeah, thank you for your question. The ICE situation is messy, and the main reason that there's a huge lack of transparency on the university's part. Aisha is actually working right now with the UBPD, hi Aisha, to kind of see how we can let international students know, because UB is handling it privately with the family, but we want more transparency with the international students because it is a big deal. I just want to create a safe environment for everyone. Sorry.
I'm going to do a quick point of information on myself. This room is booked until 11-ish or so. So basically, candidates, Sorry about that. So Sierra, if you want to finish your sentence, and we'll move back up to a minute for response. And then, so everyone's questions, so feel free to say as long as you need to get all of your questions answered. So, point of information for myself, sorry about that, thank you.
Okay, so kind of just with the safe environment thing, as long as people know the protocols and everything with the UBPD, how they handle it, because I think that with the interception and kind of that work and collaboration with student association, UBPD, and ICE as a whole, we'll have a lot more understanding of kind of how they handle it. For kind of, the biggest thing is transparency. The biggest thing is transparency, nothing's being shared, and yeah.
Hi, my question is to Federal Businesses VP of Clubs, to Arkasaha. You are an international student, and we know that there are regulations on working. So how does that look for you and working with SA?
Hi everyone, so just to answer the question, I will be changing my status to Aid for Dependent, which means I am not allowed to legally work in the US, so if I do get elected, I will not take a single penny from SA. I'm doing this solely because I'm passionate about this position, but legally, I cannot receive any payment from SA. So I know officers somehow do get compensation, I will not be allowed to get compensation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. This is for the VP of Events candidates. So what exactly would you do differently or better with current SA events to make them more accessible and enjoyable for the diverse variety of student body on campus?
So essentially what I would do is, although they're very great right now, the SA events, I would like to elevate them further into a new realm of existence. I think that they should be more welcoming to students. I've seen multiple students had to leave because they didn't feel welcome at certain club events and events in general opened by SA. So I would want them to be elevated into different heights so people can essentially losing words. Essentially what they could do is they could feel more welcomed at SA and club events. Yeah.
Hello? Yes. To answer your question, to make events more accessible and to include more students, by having a schedule on our website that lists all our events ahead of time, we'll be able to make students informed of their future events we plan ahead. And also my monthly polling survey to the students to see and gauge what interests students have for these types of events. And let's say for any small minorities or underserved communities, they have a chance to voice what kind of events they like to see in SA. So, yeah, thank you.
I would work on having actual bodies at our events. I would try and collab with UB Transportation and the Shuttle and UB Stampede on the days of Fall Fest and things like that, because a lot of students complain that they don't come out to our events because they don't have transportation or reliable transportation, like the shuttle shuts off at a certain time. I would collaborate with them to make sure that we have shuttles running from South Campus to North Campus, downtown campus even maybe, so that everybody can come to our events from wherever you are on a UB campus. If you want to come to an SA event, you can. And to answer the second part of your, I'm sorry.
All right, I have a question for the vice president's roles. As it has been stated, the 3 different vice president roles are fairly new to the organization. So I just wanted to know, For those of you that are candidates running for these roles, what conversations have you had with people that work in your sector that are currently employed with SA, or even the current vice president, and what advice have you been given to, essentially execute this role should you get appointed to it?
I am going to be straight. I have not talked with the current VP of events. But I would like to say that I have plans for current and new events to become a real thing of reality. I'd like to talk to the students and see what they would feel about events, and then try to see if we can implement them.
Is this for all VPs?
All VP candidates, and not all VP candidates, all VP for events candidates. Sorry, all VPs in general. So, Joanne, then you would be up, and then Will, Nadaya, and then we would just
Can you
skip
repeat the question again?
Being that the VP roles are new to the organization, what conversations have you guys had with those that are currently in the role, or either those that work in the departments that these roles service, to better understand how you could best be fit for these positions?
Okay, perfect. I mean, currently, Will Dong is the VP of clubs, so spoken to him, gotten quite a lot of advice, and even spoken to numerous club leaders, been getting contacts day to day, speaking to them, being well known, and being someone that's running for VP of clubs, knowing club leaders is important. So knowing what their needs are, how I could provide for them in the future is important, and having the relationship with previous people in my position is important to be able to rely on them if I need some advice or ask for help, and yeah.
To answer your question, honestly, I haven't had a chance to have a dialogue with the Department of Programming or events, but I do plan on fully engaging with each and every staff in that department and to see what worked in the previous position for the VP of events, and also what this position can improve on. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm currently Assistant Director of Advocacy, so I work under Mason, and we've had lots of talks about me potentially taking over, as well with the group that I am. We all sat down together and we said, okay, who is the best person to run? And I was like, I believe I am, and they agreed with me, which is why I'm here right now. And our main thing is making sure that we are on the ground and that we have action, because we are a new role and students do not know about us. So if they trust me to do the job, I believe that I can do it. That's exactly why I'm running, and that's why I think everyone should run. And me going to Mason and even saying hey, do you believe in me? How can I do this? What can I learn from you? Is amazing. And that's what everyone should strive towards doing, especially when you're taking a new position. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you for your question. So like the presidents were talking about, the VPs were talking about, these are new positions. This was our first year with it. I've been fortunate enough to have some conversations with Will, but a lot of conversations with people in club leadership. So people who are serving in these e-board positions who voice, endless frustrations with the Student Association. In terms of the roles themselves, I think I'm in huge support of the roles. Obviously there's going to be some growing pains when they're initially introduced, but it's really hard for 3 e-board positions to oversee all these departments. It's such a huge school, so much going on. So I'm a little biased because I'm running for position, but I'm in huge support for all these VP positions to oversee individual departments. In terms of, how I'm going to, who I've spoken to and what I want to see, I just think that the clubs have a lot of frustrations, and we need to hear from them more, and they need to give us more.
Yeah, so as the VP for Advocacy candidate, I've actually worked a lot with Mason. I'm very lucky to be able to have met with him during Senate office hours whenever he hosts them. And I also meet, every time I meet with Mason, I meet with Jack Walsh as well, who is a member of that advocacy department. And the biggest thing that we talk about is campus dining and shops and seeing how we can kind of get to the root of the problem, because, you know, someone's running on 24/7 dining, you got to get to the root of that problem before anything else happens. And I also, the advice that I think that I would get from Mason is it's a very, very new role. They have set the foundation to be able to grow on it, and I just want to continue to expand on what the advocacy department has done, because I think that they've been doing great with what they were given. And yeah, so I'm just excited for what I could have in store and everything, and thank you for your question.
Currently, I'm on a party with the current VP of Events, Benjamin Lau. Before we ran on this party together, the first thing I asked him was to give me a rundown of what the VP of Events is, coming from the best person who it is, Benjamin. So he told me everything I had to do, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do everything I had to do. Further going into your point, I know events. I'm activities going on ASA. Khalil, I know you. Like, we've had events together. Like, we've had events together. You know what I can do. I know what you can do. Like, events is just me. It's who I am. I know Johnny, another person on the events team. Like, I've reached out. I've got to know all these people. And it's not even just because of this election. It's just who I am. It's what I do. And it's how I get down.
Could you please repeat your question one last time?
With these VP roles being new, what conversations have you had with those that are currently set in the position or the departments that they service to better understand the role and how you can be the best in it?
So I haven't communicated with the current VP of clubs, but the VP of clubs before the current, when Sami Bia was president, I had a conversation with him and his VP of clubs. I heard the problems he had during his election time, some things he worked on, how to communicate with clubs, and he was giving me a pretty good tip on how to talk to clubs while they're having violations, on the violation meetings, how to communicate with the presidents. That's a very good conversation I had, and I think his time clubs were very happy with the VP of club. So I think the experience and the conversations I had with them were very reasonable and something that I really learned a lot from.
Thank you, VP candidates. All right, if you have a question, hands up, please.
Okay, my name is Lynn. My question is for Jack. You mentioned something earlier about changing finance-related regulations, and you're currently elected as treasurer. So what would you do differently as president if you get elected that you didn't get to do as treasurer during your tenure?
Yeah, so Treasurer actually allowed me to do and implement a lot of changes that I wanted. We put through a huge budget policy overhaul. I don't know if you all have seen it, especially your club leaders, but you should definitely take a look at it. It made life for a lot of club leaders much better. Your budgets coming out will be much more fair to you, easier to get money from SA. There are really good changes. Right now, we're working on an apparel change. It's going to let clubs just buy apparel, buy merchandise without a ticket sale. I think it's going to be huge for a lot of clubs who have really struggled with doing like the pre-sales for 2 months and buying sweatshirts and distributing. And I was able to do a lot of what I wanted to do as treasurer. I didn't really hit any roadblocks within the position or the power itself, but I ran out of time. As president, I'm just going to continue putting up the wins and like scoring the changes that clubs really want to see for another year. Just need more time.
Thank you.
So I know there's a couple of people running for the same positions. I just wanted to know what makes each of you guys stand out from your opponent?
Yes, all of you. So for the sake of time, are we okay with just doing 30 seconds per person because it's an everyone question? Okay. Okay.
We're gonna go Grant and then that way.
All right, so for question, what makes you, I guess, stand out for the other candidates? I would say that, again, qualitative experience, actually getting things done in an essay, makes me stand out, especially in a lower profile role like senator. Typically, those sort of meetings are ho-hum, but I think that I've added significantly to student life through that.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate that I am the only candidate running independently, so I feel as though that kind of makes me stand out as a whole. So, like, me personally running independently, like I said, I'm not here to overpromise. I'm here to just deliver. I'm running by myself, and I hope that whatever team I get, whoever like gets the candidacy, we can work together and just okay, it's time. Oh, okay, we could just work together and, just be more inclusive in the community, the UB community, Oh, thanks.
That's a really good question. First off, I have the experience and expertise being and serving an essay for the past 2 years. I know club policies and finance policies like the back of my hand, just working in 3 separate positions. I also believe that I can lead with heart and compassion. I think we all deserve a treasurer and an e-board member that is able to approach clubs with the most humane approach possible. And I believe compared to the rest of my opponents, that I am the only candidate that can do that.
Yeah, expertise was a good word. I've been in every part of the club, president, extended, just a member. So I know the ins and outs. I have the work ethic. I'll do what needs to be done. I'm here for you guys, and I want that to be known. So, speak shortly.
So what really stands out for really us as a party is that we have experience in SA, and that allows us to really get the ball rolling right away if we are elected. So we get fast change and fast implementation on the policies that we have set.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is being relatable. I was a club treasurer and I was a club VP this semester, so I understand the ins and outs of being outside of SA and now being assistant director of advocacy. I understand being SA. I also feel like I'm willing to put myself in uncomfortable positions so that students can be comfortable. I'm willing to stand up and be the advocate that goes to administrators and says, students are complaining about this, you need to fix it. So I think that's something that stands out.
Yeah, I think what really sets me apart is last year I came to the treasurer position as the most voted for candidate of anyone last year. And I didn't do it by over-promising. I promised very basic things. I fulfilled my promises. There's not a thing I said that I didn't do. And I was able to put up win after win for the whole year. Really good policy changes, really good experiences for clubs, really good experiences for students. I just want a bigger platform to do that. Give me president, I'll go grab even more.
I would say the thing that makes me stand out is my background and where I came from. I came to America at 4 years old from a war-torn country and I've lived in every single community you could think of. I've lived in apartments, I've lived in the suburbs, I've lived in the middle of the city. I've lived everywhere and I've met a ton of people and I know their experiences and I could understand who they are as a person. So I feel like with my background, I could easily relate to most students, if not all, here at UB, and just my leadership experiences.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think most of us on the stage can say that we've served in a club or been a member of a club or had a leadership position. I think what makes me stand out is I have my foot in the door in a lot of different places. I know a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people. If you ask my friends, I'm kind of a social butterfly, so I love getting to know people and I love hearing them talk. I guess I just know a lot of people, I have my foot in the door in a lot of places, and I can make people be more heard than other candidates could.
Yeah, I love that question because I get it a lot. I do have the experience, and everyone up here has similar to what Aiden said, has the club experience, has the overall leadership experience. The thing that stands out with the Unity for Unity Party is that we're actually going to turn real action into change. We're not over-promising anything. Similar to how Jack ran his platform last year, he wasn't over-promising and was very realistic with what's going to happen. And with what I have planned out in the advocacy department right now, it's realistic, it's going to happen. I have my foot in the door in a lot of places, so.
I'd say one thing that stands out about me is that I'm willing to always compromise, but also understand feasible changes on what can happen. When I ran for VP of events, some of the changes that I wanted in entertainment were, obviously the role is very limiting in what you can and can't do, and you can't make change like instantly, but you have to make feasible changes. And as someone who's been in SA for a while now, I know what changes could be made, and I think the feasible changes I could definitely make.
What stands out about me and other candidates is that I'm already doing the job. As activities coordinator on ASA, one of the biggest boards on campus, I'm already VP of events for my e-board. If I elected, I'm just on that bigger stage, and I can get it done. I've done it once, I'm gonna do it again.
Okay, as everybody knows, treasurer is a highly powered position. You must be a leader, and I am the only candidate, and I'm going to phrase this again, I am the only candidate on this stage who has been in multiple leadership opportunities. On top of that, I actually run my own business where you have to have extensive financial knowledge, which I do have. On top of that, lastly, I ran a team of 5 highly individuals who have accolades and achievements when it comes to sales and accounting and stuff too. You can be a very good spokesman person.
I just want to start by saying that my other two competition who are here, I believe they're really qualified people and we all have equal experience in clubs. However, what I'm different about is because I've spent the last 2 years in this exact campus, I haven't really gone out much. I go to club events for like my free time all the time, and through that I've met enough club e-boards, and I've sort of gone or heard their point of view of how it feels to run a club and what they go through while running events or running their club activities. And through that I've gained insights about how the clubs works, and I understand how clubs work a lot better than most people. And I think that's where I can bring the change in.
Rebuttal, for instance.
I just have a quick point of information. I think one of the candidates might have misspoke. He said that he's the only candidate who held more than multiple leadership positions. I don't think that's true.
Now, I would say this, I'm allowed to rebuttal, right?
Give 30 seconds to rebuttal.
Oh, 30 seconds? Okay, I was thinking specifically within the role that I'm running for, which is treasurer.
Oh, okay.
I'll take that back. I apologize.
So that's just not true. So I have served in SA for the past 2 years, served as ENC chair, assistant director of club services. I am on the board of directors for a nonprofit organization called Dolphin Defenders. I, at the age of 17 years old, had to manage a $3.6 million budget, being hired as a shift manager at Walgreens, and that was my main responsibility, was overseeing that. So everything that my opponent said is not true. There are multiple and more options for treasurer, and quite frankly, I'm the most qualified to be elected to this position.
Am I allowed to rebuttal again? Am I allowed to do this? It's a debate.
We're going to go only one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, questions? Hands up, please.
I have a question for LaRon about, you were asking for a rebuttal earlier. I was just wondering what you had to say.
Did you say your rebuttal already?
No, it was a rebuttal to what Grant said earlier during the Q&A between the moderators and the candidates.
Yes.
Is that 30 seconds?
So Grant said something on behalf of Kaylee, who's his treasurer candidate, about her having the most experience or expertise or no, that's just not true. This is the same person that went to the spectrum and said that she wanted to replace the tier-based system with something that had to do with the impact that clubs have. We measure that based on attendance. That's what the club's tier system already does. If a treasurer candidate doesn't already know that, they're all automatically unqualified to be treasurer, number one. Number two, Grant has been the only candidate on this stage over the past 3 hours.
I want to hear it.
Okay.
For 30 more seconds.
I want it. Motion is passed. There will be 30 extra seconds.
So Grant has been the only candidate on the stage from the get-go that has been hostile towards candidates on the stage. And you're expecting to be SA president. I'm just trying to figure out, how do you expect to be SA president when you don't even, the Senate, the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis don't even like you, believe that you're hostile, have filed harassment complaints against you, and then you sit on the stage and say that you're the only person that's done something? Dude, read the room. Read the room. I became the first SA representative to be an SA representative on the UB Climate Action Council. I became the first SA representative to actually rebuild the sustainability department. To say that everybody on this stage right here, to my right, does not have the experience is just absolutely untrue. It's not true whatsoever. If she wants to say something,
I second that. I second that.
So this is going to be the last rebuttal, but only because the name was dropped. So Randy, you get 30 seconds to rebut whatever.
So, first off, with the Spectrum article, I doubt that my ticket mate's opponent actually read it, because that is not actually a platform. We said it in the Spectrum article. Don't know how much I can say more than that. Literally, just read the article. The other thing is, I did not at any point say that nobody else has any experience or that the experience is not valuable or anything of the sort. I did say that the Senate does not really do very much, and clubs know that. Pretty much everybody knows that. It's a pretty open secret.
So, for clarification, we did do a Q&A article with all of the candidates, specifically for the UB4 party. It is true that the party proposed an idea to switch the tiering system that is currently in place for clubs to a service-based model that analyzes student impact and etc., with an emphasis on attendance. So, just wanted to get that point of clarification across. The article is available, so if anyone wants to just pull it up and read it, it is up on the website. Okay. We good? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ronald, and my question is directed to the presidential candidates. An issue that has not been, I'm sorry for that being loud, a question that has not been addressed here tonight is student morale. Outside of the policy and the technical changes you wish to make to the student association, if you are addressing students directly, what exactly would you say to them to boost morale in a time of grave uncertainty in the academic and political world?
Presidential candidates, the question is directed to you. Ben, would you be willing to go first this time? Or like left to right? Do you want to go? Okay, all right. For the entire Q&A session? Okay, that's fine. You know what? I'm going to alternate. So we're going to go this way to this way, next question this way to this way, and then the other question this way to this way. Are we cool with that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so one thing I would do to boost morale is obviously support clubs, but also more event initiatives. We have a lot of big events that people look forward to going, but also another thing that I'd like to emphasize is important to also have a little bit of small events, but not too many, because if you do just enough, you get enough of a return on investment for students to be satisfied, because obviously if you focus on a lot of small events, that's less money for clubs, but also less money for the bigger events like homecoming and fest that people like to go to. So a good balance of big events and small events has the best return on investment for students. Thanks.
So what I would personally do, like I just go around to right now as a student, I just go around to my friends and ask them what's up and just keep jumping from place to place and just checking up on people, asking them. So as president, I would do that on a bigger scale. Just if I see a random person, just go up to them and be like, hey, how's your day, blah, blah, blah. And just like also do more events of like self-care, of mental health and everything to make sure that students are in the right space of mind and feeling happy about the university they are representing and what like they could bring to us and what we could bring to them, I guess.
Yeah, I appreciate the question, Ronald. Morale is definitely like a big issue on campus for students. I plan to lead an organization that offers two solutions. I think it's the responsibility of an organization that focuses so heavily on programming to give students an escape, give students something to look forward to. That's events, that's concerts, that's clubs, that's outlets where people can talk, meet each other, communicate, have fun, things like that. Students need an escape from what are admittedly very hard times. On the other hand, myself, Nadaya, who will lead a very, very great and effective department for advocacy, will be there to make sure students feel heard and listened to, that their issues are communicated to their administration, and that their issues are being taken seriously. So that students can both have fun, but also take comfort knowing that they're being heard and that they're being fought for every day by the organization.
Okay, so for me, I feel as though I'll be very big on engaging more with social media. I feel as though UB and SA does send a lot of you guys email. Half of the times I know students say they don't read the emails because I'm going to be so real. I don't read the emails myself. So I feel as though just being more like active on like apps such as Instagram, TikTok, and just letting students know like what's going on, like being more transparent with them. Also just cutting out smaller events because I know some of you guys do not go to the events because I personally don't go to them. I'm going to be so honest with you. So I'm just here to kind of just focus on like the more large scale events as far as bringing people that students actually want to see, you know, like I'm gonna put up surveys and stuff like that because I feel as though I'm your voice. I'm not gonna do what I want, I'm gonna do what you guys want. So thanks.
All right, so I think that especially given the current presidential administration, a lot of people are very uncomfortable with the environment and the sort of situation going on around that. So I think that one easy thing SA could do is publicly advertise in a way that all international students can access the fact that SA provides free legal services, which would be very important for students who could be subject to jargon. Aside from that, I think that holding SA as a more public organization, its meetings, specifically having regular public executive board meetings, and hosting the Senate meetings as town halls would make students feel more welcome. I think that showing students that SA cares about them is a very important part of that.
Thank you, presidential candidates.
My name is Rihanna, and my question is for Charlene. So, as everybody knows, you're running an independent party, so how would you represent all students, not just certain groups?
So yes, I am running independently. So as far as like representing all students, so I talked about being more inclusive on camp. Also just having events that relate to everyone, not just specific groups, is something I'm very big on. Oh, okay. Yeah, like I was saying, just having like more events on campus to like all types of groups, just being more inclusive. I do go to a lot of events like ASA, BSU. I do go to many of those events, and I do feel as though like sometimes I only feel included at those events. So just being more like wider with the events, like across UB as a whole, just representing all groups, not just certain specific groups. So I feel as though I personally would have more events relating to other groups. Also just planning ahead of time, I feel as though that's very important because students hardly know when the events are about to happen. So I just feel as though, like I said, engaging on social media and including everyone, that's personally what I would do. Thanks.
Thank you, Charlene.
This is a question directed towards Jack or Laurent. Do you think 24/7 dining is possible?
I'll answer first. I'll let Laurent talk about it as well. I think, honestly, this is more of an advocacy issue. SA does not do really much with CDS, Campus Dining and Shops. They're actually overseen by Faculty Student Association. Different organization. It's something we can advocate for, at least advocate for extended hours. But I'm on the FSA board right now because my role in SA, staffing is a very real issue for 24/7 dining. I don't know if we're going to see it. If we do, I really doubt we're going to see it anytime soon, certainly not like within my time here. But staffing these places and staffing so many places. We don't have like big central dining halls like a lot of other campuses do. That means there's more locations that require more staff. And a lot of staff can't work 24/7 hours. I don't know if it's like super likely, but more of an advocacy issue.
And adding on to that, any person on this stage that's made a promise to you saying, I will extend dining hours to be 24 hours, they're lying to you. And as a direct result, I would not vote for them or their ticket, because that's just not possible. That would have to require SA to negotiate with the university, FSA, CDS to hire more staff. I'm pretty sure they don't have the budget for that. So then it's like, so how would they get the money? SA funds? No. Where? So anyone on the stage saying that 24-hour dining is possible is a 2% chance of it happening. It's not going to happen anytime soon, and I agree with everything that Jack said.
Okay, so also, everybody will get to answer their questions. I'm just running around, so I appreciate your patience. I will get to you, and then I will come up and be like, oh, you're next, or etc. Just keep raising your hand. I do see you. I continue to see you. I will get to you. Thank you.
There was just something said earlier in this debate that I wanted to address. It was brought up, the SEDS allegation against Grant Peterson for harassment. I just wanted to say, SEDS is an engineering club, and when this first happened, they came to me, who advised them to report it. And this is not a first-time thing. He has over 40 allegations against him, and he has an active lawsuit. That combined with behavior I've seen on the Senate, such as his needless trying to get Aiden out of his chair position, he didn't give a good reason, he gave no reason. Literally no reason at all. I personally would not feel comfortable with him as president. Why should the rest of them?
All right, so first I'll start off with my previous college, since you brought that up. The lawsuit is on the basis of many different things. First off, basic rights violations. NCC's policies are not parallel to UB. They are very much inferior in that area. Secondly, discrimination. I am alleging in the lawsuit that I was discriminated against for a disability regarding writing. I think that bringing that up is interesting because you certainly lack a lot of perspective, and publicly available information stands on my side.
Absolutely. There we go. I just thank you, Ryder. For those of you who don't know, I do serve as the Senate Chairman. And in the first meeting of the new semester, given the absence of the Senate Chair, we elected the Senate Chair. There were two people who ran. It was me and Joshua Brodsky, who was sitting at the table over there, neither of whom were Grant Peterson. In the second meeting, there was a motion, we'd never seen on the floor before, to vacate the chair. So I would like to see better decorum held in the Senate and a little bit more respect for colleagues.
This is just a general announcement, and if more information, if anyone wants to know more information about the lawsuit or etc., it is in the Q&A article. We've linked the lawsuit. So if you want to read the documents for yourself, just because, I just wanted to say it, not against Grant or anybody, it's just because if anybody wants to know more information, it is there, the information is there. Just so people don't have to go off of the back and forth between what's been going on.
A direct contradiction to what was said. Just bringing that up for anyone who wants to raise one and sort of how to raise one. But sorry.
So there are multiple candidates on the stage who are currently serving on the SA board together and ran on the same ticket last year. So Jack and Will, why run together, and is there a reason that you all didn't choose to run with one another once more, since you guys work in the same office every day and you are on the same team currently?
Yeah, Will can answer as well. Yeah, so I have worked in the same office as Will and Ben every day. I did run with both of them last year. Every day in the office, I saw Will lead club services and interact and interface with clubs in a way that was very human. It was very personal. It was very understanding of clubs that came in with issues. He executed all of his duties really well. I was really proud to see the work he put in, and I was a person I wanted to put myself with for another year. I can see myself working with him in the events role as well. I think he did a great job. Ben failed to execute at the level of an executive consistently for the entire year. He failed to take executive decisions. He failed to make a lot of decisions that were paramount to running events. Things like the color of the wallpaper at small, 100, maybe less than that events. The color of the wallpaper would get emailed to me for approval and emailed to Aisha for approval. He fails to make executive decisions. That's not someone I wanted to work with for another year.
Yeah, so we ran together last year as well, like Jack said, and in my position, I haven't really gotten to interact with what that has been doing, but as this year's election has been coming up, Jack approached me and basically said what he said, and I decided that I really respect him, and I see myself in his party, and I can see him as a president, so I followed him in his footsteps.
Well, I like to say that unlike some other departments, I believe that some of my directors and the people who work underneath me view me very favorably. Another thing I like to say is the role that I'm in as VP of events. The main thing I do is just try to help out the team wherever I can. I'm there for every event, for setup and tear down. I'm the person that hops in the mud with the squad. I'm always someone who rolls their sleeves up, puts in the hard work, helps out the team whenever they can, from setup to tear down for all events. So I've done whatever I could in my role to the highest capacity. Thank you.
I have two questions to two different people, and I'd like to ask Grant a question first. I've heard a lot of things in this meeting, and honestly, I'd like to give you an opportunity to just expand on it. Why should we, as a body, vote for you as president with these allegations? And what do you bring to the table that supersedes that covers that up? Not covers it up, but makes you valuable as a president? Because I would like to know. And then before you answer, I'm sorry. Sierra, is it? You got cut off earlier during the conversation about ICE. I kind of want to lead into a new direction. What have you done, or what ideas have you started promoting, or what have you done that's helped international students with ICE things? Because you said you're going to help out students. I'd like to see what you have done already.
Okay, so I'll start off with the things I've done. So at my previous college, I was able to get people to a meeting with the state senator when they said that LGBTQ people were being harassed on campus. Nobody else took any action on it. The college didn't either. Here, room theft 373, that whole issue, similar stuff. I think that the lawsuit, I think that if you read the documents on it, it stands on its own. I mean, I wouldn't issue a lawsuit against the college if I thought that the facts didn't stand behind me. Honestly, the fact that people are using it as a cheap political shot on me is very disappointing and honestly, quite frankly, disgusting. And when the details come out about it, those people look very, very silly.
What about the sexual harassment?
Yeah, so may he just repeat his question so that we can clean slate real quick? Is that okay? Just say it.
What have you done? Why have you promoted? What have you done before now, before this point, that helped in this, or that has led you to keep going?
Gotcha. Thank you for your question. So the thing that I've done so far is talk to Aisha about the situation because she has a better stance on it than I do. I don't know as much just because the university, as I said earlier, is very lacking in transparency. What I plan to do is working with her to be able to increase kind of as a senator. As a senator, I want to see what I can do to be able to really alleviate that. And the biggest thing is talking to UBPD and having them be as transparent as possible when it comes to that rebuilding trust forum that Aisha is planning on hosting. Have them include that. And also promote it using the current Instagram and everything with saying, hey, show up if you want to learn more about your rights and everything of that nature. And yeah, if that makes sense.
Hello, my name is Rayanne Paklu. My question was directed towards Grant and Laurent. As we've seen throughout this debate, there's been a little bit of hostility. So my question is, what would it look like to serve on a board with your opponent if you had to work together?
I would have to do the most adult thing, which is to work with them. I would be put in a position where I would have no other choice but to work with them. One thing that I'm not going to do if we do get elected together, which I hope is not the case, one thing I'm not going to do is act childish and be act petty in the position and deny certain things in my role as treasurer. If he gets elected, if I get elected, I will be forced to work with him. I mean, that's just the job I will be doing, a disservice to the students if I don't. But I also just want to take the time to point out the fact that Grant's vice president for advocacy candidate, his running mate, was in the audience for the past 2.5 hours and was not seen on the stage. And I think that that's something that the audience should be asking about because I've been sitting here having to look at him for the past 2 hours and I'm like, well, are you supposed to be up here? But to answer your question, that's my answer.
Hi, my name is Ami, and I wanted to know, like, for Charlene and Jack, I wanted to know, like, why should students trust you over other candidates?
Yeah, again, I point to a proven track record. I think I have a lot of like hard technical skills. I've been able to execute on a lot of initiatives and like issues that club leaders and other undergraduate students have brought up. Technical skills are half the battle, though. I want to foster a community that trusts me to lead and trust me with their issues. I think I have a year of experience that I proved that was very possible. People trust me with issues that are very close to them or close to their clubs, close to their communities. I took them, if I couldn't answer them myself, I made sure they got to the people that could. And I tried to make sure everyone felt heard and listened to, even if I wasn't the one that could provide that for them fully.
Okay, for me, I feel as though it's pretty simple. So I am probably the only candidate who has not served on SA before. So for me, it's kind of like I'm an outsider looking in. These people are making promises. They've been in the positions, but they haven't done anything. Not that I have seen. I'm sure they've done a lot of stuff regarding their roles, but personally, things that I wanted to see on campus has not been done. So I'm looking out from the outsider perspective that I'm coming in with newer ideas, more engagement, listening to what students actually want, actually doing polls, suggestion box, also engaging on social media, which SA fails to do a lot sometimes.
Has not served in SA, or are you the only candidate in the race? Just the... Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
This question goes out to Joe. So it's been alleged, I'm going to ask about Grant, by the way, I'm just going to ask for your opinion. It's been alleged that he's attended an official virtual meeting with a female SUNY Student Association representative with nothing but a bath towel on. What? This was a deliberate choice that made the individual feel extremely uncomfortable. So since he is running with you, how do you explain this to all the women who you are asking to vote for you? And does knowing this change your opinion on your presidential candidate?
So anything that happens with Grant is not in my dealings. I do not, I have no idea if that is true or not, or if that was to attack him personally. But I I'm not, like, again, I am not aware of any of this happening, and I am not involved in any way. As long as it's him, that it's his dealing, and it's not mine. Therefore, I'm not involved in it.
One second. You didn't answer the second part though. I asked you, how does knowing this change your opinion on Grant? Now that you know that, just assume that it's true.
Until this is proven true, or if it is not proven true, my opinion won't change until the facts and the statements have come out about it.
Hello, I'm Rayanne again. My question is directed towards the candidates running for VP of Advocacy. As you know, you guys would serve a very diverse population of students, diverse based on race, religion, sexual orientation, all the things. Have you done any research, or what kind of background knowledge do you have coming into the position to know that all different groups from many different backgrounds will be represented?
Okay. Hold on. Because I had said this earlier, but I wanted to clarify, because during that we actually had a similar question to that one during the candidates' questions. And I had said that I don't look at like skin color and everything, but I just wanted to clarify, everyone has a background and it matters. And it's the reason I said that, I'm not good in the moment, but the biggest thing is that no matter who you are, it's not going to change the fact that you deserve fair treatment. So in regards to that, I don't see differences as a thing that should kind of affect how I take on my role, because at the end of the day, I'm still going to respect you and, advocate for you and serve you as you deserve to be treated, same as everyone else. So, yeah.
I think it's off. It's off.
Hello? Okay, cool. Okay, I think I'm gonna take this from a different approach. Like, I think differences matter. Like, I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means to be in the LGBT community. So it's important for me to be able to go to those groups and ask them and sit with them and talk. I don't know what it means to be an international student. So it's important for me to go to those groups and sit and talk. Along with like all the diverse clubs that I've been through, like, I don't know what it means to be a deaf student. That's why I go to the ASL club. That way I can learn and that way I can talk. So I think that's what's really important is the differences. And like you were saying, the diversity. We go to a diverse school. Like, you'll go to places in life and you won't be around as much as diverse people as you've been in. I've been to a very, very white school back in my high school. This is the most diverse I've ever been in my life. So differences matter, and you need to go and connect with people to understand them. So as an advocate, you need that.
Does this work? Hey, it's me again. Kind of messy tonight. Hello, guys. So many of you guys mentioned an emphasis and your platforms on big events, namely Ben, your party, so the two of you, Charlene, you mentioned this as well. And it's been the biggest disagreement that you and I have had in my tenure as president is this emphasis on big events, fest, carnival, hundreds of $1,000s worth production events. As a Muslim woman and as somebody who comes from a background that doesn't enjoy music or doesn't really have an emphasis on large events, I've tried to make it the center of this year's administration to have more inclusive events that are more responsive to UB's diverse campus. What do you guys have to say about the budgeting priorities, this go big or go home mindset, to students that don't enjoy going to fest, the students that don't want to listen to rap music every single year. What do you have to say to that? How will you take diversity as a consideration into your event planning? And I just want to hear from you three, because you guys have really emphasized this whole go big or go home, we're going to cut out small events. What about, like, I know that Ben, you said, quote, like, majority rule, but what about the minorities? What about people who don't share that? Do we just discard what they want to see, and doesn't there, like, how do you try to optimize their student experience as well?
Okay, I'm the one that specifically said go big or go home. First things first, I'm also a Muslim man, assalamu alaikum. So me, I'm a Muslim man, I enjoy music, but that's, once again, I'm the majority, and once you express that, you're the minority. One thing that I said in my, whatever thing that I said that I'm on campus a lot. I like to hear what people say. Whatever people tell me, I think Jack said this before, he's a listener. I'm also a listener, especially that comes into great play with events. If somebody tells me they want to do a small budget event, they want to do something that's low cost, and it's not doing anything bad towards us, why not have that event? If they can give me a plan, if they can give me an idea and I can plan it out perfectly and I can plan it out greatly with a good budget, I'm going to get it done.
So the hard truth is that Springfest will never come back. That is something that Aisha, myself, and Jack will agree, right? Yeah, but okay, so the budget that I was given is the budget I work with. Yeah, okay, so Fest doesn't have the best diminishing returns, which I believe you and I can agree on. One thing I wanted to do, the thing that we kind of disagreed was the comedy line. We had over $100,000 left in the comedy line after the Eric Andre comedy show. What?
You want to cut small events.
No, I wanted to keep, I wanted to keep the comedy line as is and not, because the thing that you and Jack wanted were more events that were smaller. We have programming department to do those events, and SA Entertainment already is doing that almost every other week, and we don't have enough event managers to staff an event every other week. So it's easier for this staff. But also in general, we have different budget lines for each event. When we had over $200,000 for the comedy budget line, we had over $100K left after Eric Andre, because people were so mad that Springfest is never coming back. If you could do a second comedy show, it would offset the cost.
What people were mad that Springfest wasn't coming back? And are you listening to the people that don't like Fest?
Can you say that one more time, please?
I kind of have to project my voice because it is an accessibility concern, which is why we use the microphones. Springfest, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Comedy, talent, hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are smaller, more niche communities that deserve to be served in events. What do you think about that? Because you made your stance this clear, very clear, that you prioritize majority. You said it on stage tonight, majority rule. What about minorities? What about groups that do not like, don't like these large scale events? What are you doing to serve students that are more niche in their interests, that do not want to engage these multi-million dollar topics?
What I would do is try to communicate with all different types of students as well. To serve the minority students, what I hope to do is, again, plan more events, but also, like I said earlier, an even amount of events where you have an even mix of a big event, but also small events to cater for the niche communities. And
what can the main candidates answer? I asked it to 3 people. Charlie didn't answer. Oh yeah, you're right. No, I'm sorry. You're right.
Okay, so Aisha, can you just repeat your question? I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
So the 3 of you have centered in this conversation around event planning. Large-scale events. You talked about fest. You talked about comedy. You guys said basically this emphasis on multi-$100,000 events. What are you planning to do, if elected, to consider students, because UB has such a large, diverse student base that do not want to engage in music festivals, or international students that feel tokenized to one event a year, to the International Fiesta? What are you doing to engage? What is your plan to engage the diverse student base?
Okay, so I just want to clarify something I said, which probably sounded a little bit wrong, but I do still want to keep smaller events, just not as much, because there are several smaller events. And as far as bringing back Fest, that's something that I would be hopeful for, but I'm going to be straightforward with it. If it can't happen, it can't happen. I'm not going to sit here, like I said multiple times, I'm not going to overpromise. I'm not going to say, yes, I'm bringing back Fest. I personally do work with a lot of people in the music entertainment industry, and I do personally know a couple entertainers who I have brought up the idea hey, my school took away Spring Fest, which were open to come into the school for a lower cost. So I feel as though with me having great network skills, I feel as though even if I was to say, let's have Fest, I would be able to cut the cost a little bit due to the fact that I do know many people in the entertainment industry. So as for everything, I just want to clarify that I would still want to keep the smaller events because me personally, I do enjoy going to some of them, not all of them, I'll be real. So yeah, thanks.
The rebut is simple. The math is really simple here, guys. I'd rather take 50 small events versus one really big one. We can cater to many more students, reach many more students, and at a much lower cost per student than something big like Fest. If you guys haven't gone to Fest or you haven't gone to some comedy shows, then you've paid for other students to do that. You give us $109 a semester, those events far exceed $109 a person. If you're not going, you're paying for someone else too. They're not a good use of money.
I should actually ask the question that I wanted to ask. There's a lot. Just one point about that. I do work in entertainment. A majority of the cost for Fest is over half of it is production costs. So as much as you can get the artist down 10K maybe on a really big artist, that's not going to make much of a difference. The other question I was going to ask was for Jack and Ben. And Will, actually. There have been many promises made on this stage tonight. How do we know that these promises are going to continue to be held, considering several of you on the stage ran last year and made such promises as monthly town halls and diverting funds from smaller, well, we're not to this, from smaller events to bolster talent for Fest and Bowls-A-Palooza? Neither of those have happened. More specifically, Ben, for that second question, you just talked about being in the, or if you're president, you're going to change things about how events are funded, but you're currently the vice president of events. We talked a little bit about the barrier to that, but what would change if you became president now? So you could make those changes happen that you promised a year ago. Sorry, there's a lot of questions there. Got thrown around.
Well, one thing I would like to do as in your current job that I can't do in my job is I feel like with your job, you and the treasurer have a say in how the money is allocated, whereas for me, I'm just the one that's meant to follow whatever budget is being followed. Like for example, with homecoming, homecoming was an amazing event, but I kind of knew that we were kind of underfunded. Luckily, the amazing treasurer helped us get more funding, and the amazing president also helped us get more funding, so I do appreciate that. But I wish there was a way for the president to evenly disperse. I know it happens right now, but I wish there was a way for the VP roles, for the VP of clubs, VP of advocacy, and VP of events to also have the say in how the budget goes, whereas just the president and the treasurer just sign off on POs and have the full say and full authority.
They already do have a say in how the budget gets allocated. They're all sitting senators. They have to approve every budget change. So that's already a thing.
I was looking back on some of the promises you made last year, and those were not delivered upon, some of which being monthly town halls and a new budget for events. What would you do with a second term to deliver on some of those promises you made before?
I'll go first and then Will. Monthly town halls, we were able to deliver to an extent that is more of an advocacy thing. Neither of us are the sitting advocacy VP. I think somewhat for a reason there. We were able to get the town halls established to an extent. We got to, I think we're very successful, one in each semester, not to the degree we wanted, but again, that's an advocacy department issue. We did what we could there, and for the issues that were raised specifically to our departments in those town halls, we took very seriously. I'm still following up on issues from the last one. I think Will is as well. We did what we could with the town halls we got, and we pushed for the town halls that we could. Ultimately, it did fall to a different department. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, Jack pretty much said it. Like, I just want to echo what he said. So.
Thank you very much. I'll make this question as brief as I can. Specifically, this question is twofold. The first part will be for the presidents and treasurers still on the stage, and the second part will be for you, Benjamin, specifically. The first part we're talking about, I remember, I'll give you context of this question. I'm right now the president of MSA, so a lot of the POs work specifically. Muslim Student Association. There's a kalakaya. So it's directly under my jurisdiction to go through the POs process, specifically when it comes to the food for our event or the venue itself regarding our biggest event happening, banquet, in April time. A big thing that was mentioned with the treasurers, and I'm assuming as well in your parties, the president's co-signed off of this, is streamlining the PO process. Making it more efficient, making it more that the clubs can get the funding on time or do essay in a much more pragmatic way, an efficient way. What does that mean on a practical level? I really like that, especially for smaller clubs that reach out to me as well, specifically talking about, hey, is there a better way we can get PO money, or is there a better way to advocate for that? It's a great initiative, but what does that mean practically? Like, how does that look on a day-on-day basis for someone who's a president or a treasurer of a club to deal with SA? And my bad, but one more thing, Jack, one more thing. The second part of the question is specifically to you, Benjamin. During your speech, you mentioned how clubs, specifically in Tier 6, the biggest Tier 4 people in SA, or the clubs here on campus, mentioned that it's underfunded. What does that mean specifically? And I just want a better context on that, on the funding of budgeted lives. That's all for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Treasurer and President. Treasurer and President, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll go first as sitting treasurer, just to touch on what I've done already. some of the big things we put up, again, like the budget policy I talked about earlier, big change, that's going to help clubs get more money, but I think your question focused on how they spend it and how, you know, they get POs approved in that timeline to get it approved. We do what we can to streamline, and I've shared a lot of what I've done with Will. Specifically, one of the biggest changes that we put forward that we've already done is removing quote requirements for POs. If you guys are a club leader right now and you've had issues with SA going back and forth on quotes on how much something costs and then holding up your POs for weeks, I removed that. You don't have to do that anymore. That's made a lot of POs go way faster. It's removed a lot of issues. A lot less POs get hung up in like interim waiting periods and tickets for like ever. That doesn't happen anymore. We've removed that. We removed a lot of red tape in other areas that are similar to that and really cut down the times. And I've shared all of that with Laurent. He's just going to carry that torch even further for another year.
Opportunity at least 2-3 times a semester to meet the SE treasurer directly about club concerns regarding their budget. I know when I say 2 or 3 times a semester, it might seem a lot, but I'm willing to do the work. There's over 150 clubs in SA. I'm willing to do the work day in and day out, be in the office for more than 10 hours every day to make sure that the clubs are heard. Also with the PO process, making sure that clubs get accurate updates throughout the process so that they aren't left out of the loop. I think that's the most effective way that we can improve that, and everything that Jack said, he agreed.
So I have no experience with the treasurer stuff because that's like something the current e-board would have to talk about. But I would work with whoever my treasurer is to help streamline it and have more meetings. And I mean, we're in a fast age of AI and all these technology, so we could probably either hire someone or find someone that would willingly or helpfully do it. So we could be able to help people see or clubs see exactly where we are if we have someone that would be willing to help and keep that up to date. So basically show clubs and give them an estimate. Hey, this is going to be this, so it's probably going to take us so and so. So that's something I am looking forward to work on and make better for the clubs coming up and just solving problems. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I mean about the tier funding, so some clubs, as we all know, tier 6 is the highest tier. The minimum amount you could get is $20,000. However, for some clubs, like FOSA, they only got 7 to 8 grand. ISA and PSA, they only got 15 to 16 grand when they should have gotten at least 20K. So not all of the bigger clubs that are entitled to the funding that they deserve, don't get the funds they actually deserve. So that's what I mean. But what I mentioned is that I think if you're a certain tier, if you have a lot of numbers, and if you qualify, and if you hold a lot of events, you should be able to be given the amount of money you are entitled to. So that's what I mean by that.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, there we go. Hello, this question is to Ben again. Just because I want a little bit of clarity. So, in response to why your current executive peers don't wish to serve with you again, you mentioned that you work hard and that you work with your department, you get in the mud with your staff, but SA hires brilliant event staff. You can look at them right now. Events VP isn't a glorified event staffer. They're really elected to engage larger visionary goals. As president, your job will extend beyond clubs and events, and I've only heard you speak about clubs and events. I currently sit on the Presidential Search Committee, selecting UB's next president. That is not something that pertains to clubs or events. I went down to Albany to speak to state legislators talking about affordability. You meet with people, you're an advocate, you're a representative. So can you just kind of engage what your vision for being the student's voice and representative would look like beyond just programming and events and club funding? Can you engage your vision a little bit more?
Yeah, so how I plan on being a good student leader and advocate is being as accessible as I can, being open to listening to different students' concerns, being able to figure out what issues pertain to students and what I could do to be a better advocate for them.
Okay. My question is for Hassan. You mentioned you're the AC of ASA and how you've created events within your club. Being the VP of events, you're on a much larger scale and you have to include a lot of diverse people on campus. Walk us through how you would create a larger scale event that guarantees more bodies like you want.
I'm a business administration student with a concentration in marketing. I'm here to market. If I can market SA properly, then everybody's gonna come because that's what marketing is. I can just get that done. I'm seeing that a lot, but like, what's it called? ASA's fashion show, promo ideas, TikTok, social media, like Charlene says, walking around campus, talking to people. That's things I prosper in. I can do that all day, every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marketing. That's what I am, who I am, and what I do.
All right, my question is also for Hassan. So you mentioned that you're currently the AC of ASA, and that would help you to transition into your role as VP of events. However, that role is a much smaller scale compared to the one that you hope to step into. You would have a whole team and department behind you, so how would you plan to manage a role not just as an event planner or a marketer, but also as the lead of an entire department?
If something that a lot of my friends tell me is that there's 24 hours in a day and I utilize all 24 hours. Currently, as I'm sitting here right now, I have 2 jobs. I work on ASA, and right now I'm going for VP of events. At one of my jobs, I'm a manager. I'm a manager at AutoZone. I lead a team of 5 to 10 people at any given day on a shift. And what's it called? When I was 17, I was the main shift lead at McDonald's on 149 Grand Concourse in the Bronx, if y'all know what that is. Yeah. So manager experience and leadership is not nothing new to me. Like, it's just who I am. I would do it with a smile on my face as I'm smiling right now.
Alright, last one, I promise. I kind of touched on this earlier with presidents. Personally, I feel like the vice presidential compensation is a bit too high, and it seems like some candidates may agree with that. If there was to be a compensation reduction, vice presidents, would you agree to that? Do you have any opinions on that? Do you think vice presidents are being fairly compensated at this moment, or too much? Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah.
19,500. That's a minimum wage job. Like, it's not. If it's to be, when I applied to be there and I did my petition, I didn't even know if it was paid. I found out now. And then I'm finding out that it's 19,500. Once, like I said in my last response, I worked 2 jobs. Like, if it got reduced, it got reduced. It's not really nothing to me. And that's 19,500 is less than minimum wage. So it's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah, so my opinion on the whole entire thing is I would do this, like I already work as the director of advocacy for RHA. I would do this for free. When it came to, however, the current VPs already work over 20 hours a week. So I do believe that compensation is to be added to their whole entire thing. If it were to be cut, that would be fine. However, you shouldn't undermine the work that they do put in on the back end. So yeah.
Just want to do a point of information.
I think there's a point of information. You said 20,000 is a full-time salary per year. Is that what you said, minimum wage? It's a 20-hour-a-week job, so it's not a full-time position.
It's minimum wage.
That's right. Well, it's $5.40 a week. Whatever. It's not.
Please. Point of information. The lowest paid role at SA is $18 an hour. That fluctuates to as high as $18.75 for undergraduates. We have very few graduate roles whose work is so valuable we can pay up to $23 an hour. But the $19,500 compensation comes from $18 an hour times 20 hours a week for the 52 weeks that the VPs or all the e-board positions hold the term. Just so you guys know where that number came from. It's 18 an hour, prorated.
Okay. Yeah, to speak on that, I mean, if the Senate and the student body want to cut the compensation, I mean, go ahead. You know, it's up to you guys. I don't really care. That's not why I'm running. I work 2 on-campus jobs already with tasks and admissions, so, you know, those are the places that I go to make money, and honestly, a lot of those, I don't really care about the money either. I'm doing it to forward my, you know, experiences and to get more involved in the campus. So I guess, I mean, the VPs do work hard. They're working 20 hours a week. I don't think it's unfair to compensate them, but if you want to cut the compensation, I literally couldn't give a single crap. Go ahead.
Okay. Just from working in the office, I will say that everyone works very hard, so I do think it's important to be able to pay your employees. But I also say it's up to the students at the end of the day. If students feel like our pay is too high, then yeah, cut it. And we're here for you guys, we're here working for you guys, but at the end of the day, I do believe employees should be paid. But if students have a problem with it, definitely bring it up to us, and we as your advocates, we as your board should be understanding and be able to be like, okay, then what is a suitable pay that you guys believe we should have? So yeah.
All right. I basically agree with literally every candidate here as well. It's really depending on what the role is, and if the students believe that one position is not doing enough, then that is a discussion to be had, and that is possible to change that salary as well.
Yeah, just to double back on what everyone else was saying. I see the work that Asher does, I see the work Will does, I see the work Jack does. Endless time, they'll be there after hours doing I don't know what, but they're putting in the work, I can tell you that. So I think it's very justified. But yeah, if there's an issue and it's cut, it's okay. But I think it's very justified that it is what it is right now. So.
Is it for VPs or everybody?
Just VPs.
Any other questions in the audience?
The more men. Sorry, that sounded like I was dissing VPs. I obviously think you should count. But I didn't mean it like that. Sorry. It's cool, guys. My bad.
Hi. This is a question to the VP of Advocacies and also the presidential candidates. And again, I don't want to do a follow-up, but I will if you force my hand. So in as much detail as you can, please. No platitudes, nothing vague. What do you think is the largest issue facing students at UB? And why do you think you are the most qualified to address that? So, two-parter. What's the largest issue facing students at UB? And why are you the most qualified to address that? Sorry for the gentle parenting, but I just don't want to repeat the question again.
I think that the biggest problem at UB is the lack of, so a lot of students don't, sorry, give me 1 second, sorry. So a lot of students, I'd say the biggest problem that I see in terms of student life is, I'd say, the quality of the student experience. What I mean by that is although we have amazing clubs, we have amazing events, and the quality of life stems beyond just events and clubs. Advocacy plays another role as well. With the current state of the world, we have ICE kidnapping regular students, and I think that's just scary. It's a scary time to be alive, and what I hope to be as president, I think that what makes me qualified is I hope that I can be able to work with other people.
So, the first part of Aisha's question was the largest issue. My opinion, students don't know their resources, they don't know their leaders, they don't know who to go to when you they don't know the connection that you gotta make to be able to get there. Why I'm qualified for this is because I do know those connections and I'm able to connect them, and I'm working on it right now with a compost initiative that someone is trying to do, and I'm connecting them with not only CDS, but I'm also connecting them with residential facilities. So I'm qualified because I'm not afraid to ask the hard questions to those administrators, and I also have the connection for those people who feel vulnerable to be able to tell me what their problem is, what they want to do, and how they can make it happen.
So this is going to sound a little crazy, but I feel like our biggest problem within the student body is our best thing, which is our diversity. We have so much people that come from various backgrounds that we can't do stuff that accommodates everyone. So you basically keep doing one thing and someone else gets upset. So I feel like I would say I'm qualified for that, for this, because of my upbringing and where I've been. Like I previously stated, I've been around many neighborhoods, I've been around many different areas of living, that I mostly understand what each group wants, and I could work and understand and connect with those people at a level that I don't want to say that any other candidate has, but I guess.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue facing students on campus and facing UB is administration here has consistently treated the students that go here as if they were customers, as if they were here to subsidize like research costs or other aspects of the university. They're not being treated like the constituents of the university. That has failed to foster a sense of community, both with undergraduates and with graduate students, and there lacks a cohesive university community. This manifests itself in a lot of ways and kind of trickles down and magnifies like a lot of other issues on campus and makes them way worse than they have to be. Most namely, most prominently right now with JAYE, is that it fails to provide like an addressable community for administration to talk to. When you treat people like customers and not like constituents, you can't communicate with them about issues that international students are facing and then get feedback from the whole community, or have the community come together around the international students in this case. Nadia can talk more about the specific issues that this trickles down into, but they're constituents, not customers.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jack about the administration and how it's treating students more like customers rather than like people. And definitely, I believe that international students is definitely our biggest thing that we need to be focused on, and that we definitely need to start improving the communication and communicating also like the rapid response when we do have a student that gets detained by ICE. What are we doing as a community to uphold their friends, their family, and themselves? And just along with that, like, yeah, you can have many things like student-run spaces. I know people have talked about that, and resources. I've led a resource thing where it's completed actually, and I'm working with the media team to let out a pool of resources for students. That's something that we can get done in like the next 30 days. I'm talking about a bigger problem, which is international students feeling safe. And if we need to target that, then that's definitely something that I think we can work with the administration to do.
Okay, so I feel as though when I was like campaigning around, I did go around asking students like, what is issues you see in UB on a day-to-day basis. Majority of them did tell me like the lack of communication when it comes to events. So a lot of students emphasize how they'll see their friends posting at like a essay event and they wouldn't know what happened, which I do say, but they do send it in the emails. So I feel as though, again, which brings me to my point, which is engaging with students more through social media, also just like posting more flyers, letting students know like this is what's going on, this is the time is going on, and also just being like more flexible with time, because given some students do have classes in between like that 12 to 4 p.m. kind of time interval. So just like being more like inclusive and more engaging with the student body. I feel as though that's something, I feel as though is a big issue right now, the lack of communication, which is something I will work on.
Okay, so my question is for all presidents, starting with Ben going down. What is your plan to improve mental health resources and support for students?
Well, the first thing that I would do is communicate with the UB Student Association Media and Marketing Department and promoting all the counseling services that UB as a whole. Although SA doesn't provide counseling services, UB does, and I believe it's often underutilized. And I think SA Media and Marketing and could work hand in hand with UB counseling services to promote better mental health on campus. Thanks.
So I was actually in RHA. I was the director of engagement at Spalding, and one of our events we did at least one event during each semester. We had a mental health day, so we would just make a bunch of goodie bags so students could take home or take with them before their final exams. That's when we usually did it because that's the most stressful time in their lives. So personally, I would just continue that, work with RHA to have more of these, 2 of them per semester, and work with the UB administration because they have such an amazing health department and community. They could do better community outreach while providing more mental health support, I guess.
Yeah, so UB has a lot of resources for mental health as it is. I think there's 2 issues. One of them is promotion. A lot of students don't know about the tools and resources out there for them to access. That's something that my VP Nadaya and also media marketing could work on to really promote that to students. But another aspect of it is that UB tends to have like this one-size-fits-all approach for mental health issues. It's always like a referral to counseling services or something like that. A lot of different campus communities face a lot of different and unique issues. We can't address them all the same way. We need to advocate for resources that will provide international students with the specific catered mental health and counseling services that they need versus maybe undergraduate students that are just suffering from like study stress and academic issues. Not everyone's the same. It's not one size fits all. We need to advocate for more flexibility from UB.
As far as mental health, like my approach would be a little different. I do feel as though around the times of midterms and finals, students do get stressed and do feel as though like SA and like other organizations does lack when it comes to mental health. I do know I lived in Richmond my freshman year, which is like a building which provides mental health services and counseling, which was an amazing, but I do feel like a lot of students don't utilize it, which is why I feel as though we should have more like programs, more events regarding mental health, especially dealing with women, because I feel as though women do go through that time of the month, which is really hard, and do have to still get up and go to class. They do have to still get up and go take their tests while dealing with that time of the week issues. So I do feel as though we should be more like heavily on women empowerment, especially with the mental health, because like, and this is not just for women, like, because boys need it too. I'm gonna be so real because I have brothers. So, you know, it's okay to like, you know, also mental health does also matter. But I'm just saying, like, personally me, I would wanna focus on like more like with women, obviously, because we do go through that time of the month and it is hard. We still have to go take our exams. Thank you. So yeah, that's just what I.
Okay, thank you very much to all the candidates, first of all, for staying here and answering all these questions. We're going to use that question to completely wrap up the event and the debate. First, the election is next week, starting on Monday at 9 a.m. and ending on Friday at 4 p.m. So please go and vote. It is essential. This is one of the longest times in SA history for the voting period, and you've got a lot of time to get the vote in. Thank you all for attending the event and sticking with us this entire time. I know it's late. It clearly shows you guys care about what's going on at SA, and the engagement is really important to us. That's going to wrap it up. I'd like to also thank my co-moderators,